Let's get the background going. Oh, wait. Oh, are we getting the background? Wait a minute. Uh-oh. Like mine is blue. Bad. Yeah, I keep them about it too. Let's see. There we go. Okay. I didn't think we were going to get the background, but we got the background. All right, there we go. There we go. Hey, everybody. Hey, hussies. Hey, Catherine. And let's see who else is here. QH Carrie. Oh, not everybody coming in. Okay. Lovely Eilish. Hungry KXO. Naries. Look at us. Look at the fam. Look at the fam being here. Hey, Melina. Melina. Kitana. Hey, Nicola Parker. Oh, look at everybody speaking. I mean, not that y'all don't usually speak. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, look at it right. Because, baby, listen, at a certain point, I'm finna stop saying hey to people. Because y'all know my mind bad. Hey, BD the Witch. BD the Witch. I like that. All right. If I ain't say hey to you, then I'm sorry. But that's too much. I'm just saying that's too much to say hey to people. Hey, everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? I'm going to give it a few more minutes and let a few more people get in. But we have an agenda tonight. And that agenda is to bash Leo. Because that's what we do here. Because Leo has made me sick. Leo has made me sick. And not only Leo, but the people who support Leo have made me sick. And I can't. They've made me tired. Here's my thing. Okay. So let me just start here. And then whoever comes in after this comes in. I don't care. But not that I don't care. I'm not saying I don't care. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Lily. So, okay. So here's the thing. So a couple of days ago, there was like this discourse happening about Lily. And I don't even remember how it started. That's the thing about it. Is like... Girl, not me up here being nosy. Okay. So anyway, so I don't even remember how it happened. But somehow Lily watching Piper got brought up. I think it might have been me. I don't know. I don't even recall. But what I do know that happened is there were certain people. It wasn't like everybody and their mama all across, Louisiana and the United States of America. But there were multiple people who were like, well, oh, not hey hubby. Who is it? Let me see who that is. I don't know who that is. I'm going to just say I don't know who that is because I'm not sure. Anyway. Not me being messy. Anyway, let me tell the story. So, the reaction to that was somebody being like, or multiple people being like, well, it's not actually weird because he's her white lighter and he was supposed to be watching her, and so it's not really that. Here's my, oh, thank you for the heart. Here's my thing with that. This is my issue. Not you about to text the phone. Well, baby, it's on Do Not Disturb, so it's not going to come through. How about that? But anyway. I love being messy. Anyway, no. So people were like, it's not actually weird. I may be the only one in this camp. And there were multiple people that said that. Here's my thing about that. Here is my thing about that one statement. Is that while I understand to a certain extent the perspective that he was her white lighter and he didn't actually raise her, there were people who were like, well, did it actually say that he watched her? And I was thinking, like, are we Turn this on. Turn it on. Why are we trying to make distinctions between whether he watched her grow up or whether he just knew about her birth when she was about? Regardless. Oh, thank you for giving me your first gift, person who I'm not going to acknowledge publicly. Look at me being messy. Just so they can cuss me out later. And that's okay. Because that's what we do. That's who we are. But anyway. That's not what we're here for. So, my thing is, to me, it shouldn't even be a question, right? That shouldn't even be a question. Like, I think that is very strange to go out of your way to be like, well, he didn't do it because, oh, thank you for the heart, Freddie. Thank you. And be like, oh, well, they did it. And so that's fine. That's perfectly fine if you have decided in your mind that you are going to do that. Okay. I go back and watch the episode. There's so much about it that just makes me horribly upset. So, go back and watch the episode. And, oh, not the government. Sorry, my bad. Go back and watch the episode. And not your heart back. Well, too late. It's here. Let me tell the story. Stop getting me off track. Anyway, so go back and watch the episode. Lily actually says, I've been watching you since you were a baby. Now, if you want to interpret that as he watched her when he was a baby and then left, that is perfectly fine, and that is on you. That is between you and the good Lord up above, or whoever it is you serve in whatever direction they are. That's between y'all. My thing with that is that when I hear I've been watching you since you were a baby, that lets me know, or at least makes me think, that you have been watching her since she was a baby. So that means that you watched her grow up in some shape, form, or fashion. Whether you were a part of it, whether you went down there and took her to the store, that's on you. My point is, that is disturbing to think about. And like somebody said, Piper was creeped out. But then the way the writers chose to go around it was like, yeah, that's too creepy to think about. No, that's disgusting. Like turn this on. And so I don't know who this is that said girl bye and then requested to get in here, but baby, I can tell you right now that's not gonna happen, because I don't know what you got going on, but that's not gonna happen today. Not in the year of our Lord 2024. And so Leo comes from another generation. Are you okay? Like, I don't know what that means. Or like, what are you? I'm gonna wait to ask you what that means, that he's from another generation, because there's no way that you mean that the way that I think you're trying to say it. But anyway, and I just really think that is weird behavior. Like, I really think that is so strange to me. And it's like, when we were kids, of course, we moved past it. And am I saying that the show should be canceled? Well, clearly it can't be, because it's already been off the air for nearly 20 years. What I'm saying is, it is okay to say that a part of a show was disgusting, instead of trying to bend over backwards to defend it. Like, are we okay as a society, as a unit, as a group? Like, and then people are, and I'm not talking about you, Dejanique, but people have been debating about his age, and somebody told me one time, well, technically he was only like in his 20s. Are you okay? Do you have something that you want to share with the class? Like, what? Even if you say he was in his 20s, that means he still watched a baby. Even if his mindset was from the 20s, he still watched a baby and then said one day, and then you throw in the layer that he knew that Piper was that their past lives had been together. I can't. can not. And then when you throw in the fact that Leo has had 50 years of experience between his, you know, whatever, his original life and his white lighter life, Leo was about 50 something when Piper was born. By the time she actually grows up, Leo is almost in his 80s. Are we, or has lived or has been existed in some shape, form, or fashion for about 80 years? Like, that is weird. And then here's the thing. So in that same scene, Lily is the one, Piper is so happy to be excited. And Piper actually says that she's going to do just like the women that came before her, and she's going to raise her child to be normal, and she's going to move on, and she's going to go. And she's going, existing and living is different. So do you think that he just stopped maturing mentally at a certain point? Like, do you think that just a 22-year-old medic was just, girl, we are doing a lot trying to defend Lily. And I'm not talking about you specifically. I mean, I guess I kind of am, but not you. I'm talking about the whole thing. The whole thing has bothered me. The whole thing has bothered me. Wait, Leo didn't know they would be the charmed ones in the future, or they would be together again. Did we watch the same show? Even okay. 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 I said what I said. Leo didn't know. He didn't know they were going to be the charmed ones, even though he was assigned to them at birth. So he just figured, oh, 3 Warren witches, they'll be all right. He didn't know they would be together. Even if you say he didn't know that they would be together, he knew they were together in their past life. And then when he met her as an adult, he fell in love with her. Are we okay? Do we need help? Like do we need, what do we need? You tell me what we need. Do we need to go to Sesame Street? Do we need to go where do we need to go? You tell me. Do we need to go to Halloween Town and ask Jack Skellington what he thinks? Like, what do we need? I need someone to tell me what we need, because this doesn't make any sense to me. And then even my biggest thing is, like, why are there people trying to defend it? Like, if you say this is a show and I'm just gonna move on, then that's fine. Hey, I got nothing but respect for you, because you done said, listen, baby, I'm gonna let this go ahead and go, and I'm gonna sit this one out. Because you know what, sometimes there are things that we just choose not to even address, and you know what, I can't blame you for that, because not everything, I don't think Leo had any involvement with as children, though the dude had several charges. Let me just move on. And let me just go to the next point, because at this point, I'm not doing this anymore. So, Piper is saying that she's gone. Who said, do I understand? Did you understand when I say that Leo comes from another generation? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what you said after that, because I've been on the tirade. So, not next on the docket. You know what? Just because you said that, now I'm going to keep on talking about it. Because, like I said before, it is weird to go out of your way to defend it. Yeah. No, we're not getting off that docket. How about that? No. Because I can't. Like, I can't. There is something wrong with y'all. But not you. Well, maybe you. I don't know. There's something wrong with somebody. That is going out of their way to try to defend it. It's one thing, like I said, to say, I am good, I don't want anything to do with this, versus actively trying to make sense of this and say that it's okay. It's okay to say that things aren't okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when we were having a discussion some years back about like how they treated black witches, and remember how there were a lot of people who weren't black that were getting into the discussion saying, well, they had a black charm and y'all didn't watch it. Everything always has to be racial. Everything da 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 da. When the commentary was just on the fact that A, there were not a lot of black witches, and B, when they did come up, they were typically unalived by the end of the episode, and most of the black people we saw on the show were demons. That was the discussion. Nobody was saying, let's set the show ablaze. No one was saying, let's go to CBS Studios and take all the film and throw it into the ground. Nobody was saying that. Nobody said that. That was not the conversation that was being had. And this is in the same scenario where we talk about how creepy and weird and disgusting the writing is. And instead of just being like, you know what? Not my dog, not my fight. People just, well, no, it was actually okay because Leo was young and Leo wasn't actually in their life. And Leo, are you okay? Do you need guidance? Because if you do, then go get Leo. That's all I can tell you is go get Leo. There's one thing to have like a difference of opinion, and then there is a whole other conversation where you just try to actively defend something that is strange by saying things that don't even make sense. That you need to, like, the wires are getting crossed, and now it's time for us to do some hand signs and uncross them. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Anyway, so at this point, I'm watching the episode. I'm already upset. Full-grown witches. Okay, yeah, no, I don't know what that person is talking about, and I'm done. I can't. I'm not gonna listen to you talk about they were full-grown. I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna listen to that tonight because that's a strange conversation to have. It's weird. It's weird to be like, well, they were fully grown. Anyway, we're finna move on for real this time. I don't typically like to block people just because I am upset about something. So if you're new here, please don't think that that's the case. Just know that there are times where I'm not going to go back and forth with a person about anything. And I'm not doing that on tonight. So even if we move on from there, right? I'm watching the scene still. I'm letting the scene play. Piper is saying that she is okay with raising her child normal as much as she can, like the women before her. Leo is the one who tells her, well, not all of them. Your mother she thought she was invincible and she got reckless. And she wasn't there to finish your baby book. Piper, who we know at least has some sort of form of anxiety, and has always been the one that would jump to conclusions and was always the one who looked for the negative in things, was actually happy. She was actually happy for once. She was excited to be pregnant. She was excited to be a mother. And for once in her life since becoming a witch, the thought of being a witch and a mother did not scare her. She was perfectly fine with it. For once, Piper said, I am going to be a mother. I got this. I can do it. There was no whatever going in. She said, I got this. She said, I got this. Piper was confident when she said that. Like, she wasn't jumping in front of energy balls. She wasn't jumping off the sides of cliffs. She wasn't hoping she could fly and jumping out of planes. But she was like, I got this. I can do this. Like, the women before me have done it. I can do it too. What does Leo say? Your mother thought she was invincible, and she got reckless. Now, I throw shade at Patty. I do. I throw a lot of shade at Patty, actually. I really do. But To say Patty got reckless is ridiculous. And it was a pure rewrite of the show from the writer's perspective. Like, the writers rewrote that moment, rewrote everything to try to make it fit in that moment. And say that they tried to force a narrative on Piper that I don't think they had to force. They could have naturally just had her say that she was scared that something was going to happen to her young, and she would end up leaving, her child, like Patty, like she perceived Patty as leaving them. Boom. Problem solved. Problem solved. Like, it writes itself. It's right there. You didn't have to have Leo look at her and say, well, your mother would. I can't even, like, the gaslighting in that moment. The gaslighting that they tried to do with that character, and then the rewriting that they did of their own story to make the gaslight. When he said Patty was reckless, Patty had a plan. Patty literally was like, I'm good. She was like, if I did not think I could handle this by myself, I would not go. That's what she said. Those were her words. If she couldn't handle it, she wouldn't have gone. But what happened? Her white lighter, who she was in love with, he came up and he decided she couldn't handle him. And so he came running behind her, screaming that the demon was there, as if she wouldn't have known. Who's the problem? One of these things is not like the other. It was Sam. Just like in this moment, it is Leo. Here, and then somebody brought up a good point. Leo spent the whole episode asking Piper what's wrong. This isn't like you. Well, yeah, because you made her anxious. Yeah, because you made her upset. Yeah, because you instilled this fear in her. And then somebody tried to go back and forth with me and was like, well, actually, I mean, he was right, because she did almost unalive in the show. Yeah, she did almost be unalived. But guess why? Because she had cast a fearless spell, because she was so anxiety-ridden that it took the anxiety out of her and made her act recklessly. Are we not understanding how we got from point A to point B? Because Leo put her in the position to where she felt like she had to do that. He was the one who made her anxious. She felt like she had to take the anxiety out of herself. And that's how we get to her trying to be super witch. And then, here's my other thing that I thought about today. So today I was thinking back to Lucky Charmed. I think it was Lucky Charmed, if I remember correctly. And remember, Piper wanted Leo to orb Wyatt up to the heavens, and so he would be safe from the demon because they had so much going on. And what did Leo do? He brought Wyatt back down and said that the elder said that she needed to protect her baby just like all the previous generations of Warren witches did. I would have vanquished him. I know that her blowing him up would not have actually vanquished him, but I would have done everything in my power to have tried. Do you understand? I would have turned Paige evil and made her into a dark lighter so that we could borrow her arrow for about 5 minutes. Get him, turn her back into a white lighter. But turn her back into a white lighter before or after everything has happened, so that way she can't heal. Because, I mean, well, she was at that point, she couldn't heal anyway, but the point remains. I wouldn't have chanced it. I would have got Lily up out of here at that very moment. Because what do you mean the elder says she has to take care of her baby the way her ancestors did? That's what she said. That is what she said. That is what Piper said she was going to do. That is what Piper said she was going to do was take care of her baby the way her ancestors did. And she was going to raise a baby that was normal, as normal as it could be, because we know that her baby was not going to be normal, but that's not the point. The point is, Piper was going to make it work because she was excited at the prospect of having a baby and a family. And Leo took that excitement away from her. And then, following the elders, was like, no, the elders said you got to take care of your baby. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, sis. And then by the end of the season, we all know exactly what happened. He leaves her anyway. And then I saw someone have the audacity, the gumption, the gall to sit on the Beyonce's internet and tell me that Leo gave up being an elder for Piper and that she should have been thankful. I don't know what show y'all were watching, but it wasn't Charmed. I can't tell you what show you were watching, but I can tell you one you weren't. And you weren't watching Charmed. That's what you weren't watching. I don't know what show you were. It might have been See Harmed. It might have been Tuned, but it was not Charmed. I know that. Because there is no way that you can tell me that Lily left being an elder to come to be with Piper. Are we talking about when he left her and told her and took away her pain because he didn't want her to hurt, because he decided that he needed to be there for the world because their love lifted him up so high that was the only possible place he could go? Or are we talking about when he took her to the ghostly plane, knocked her boots, and then left again? Is that what we're talking about? Maybe that's what we're talking about. Maybe we're talking about after he unalived Gideon and then spent months and months going through the underworld looking for Barbas instead of being there with his newborn baby. Which, admittedly, that one, he did watch his adult son fade away in front of him. And so I can give you a little bit of wiggle room on that one. And when I say a little bit, I mean as much as when you zoom in on Steve Harvey's hairline and you see like two teeny sprigs of hair that were left from 1982. Those are the only little sprigs that I'm gonna give you. That's it. That's it. Anything past that, you are on your own. That's it. That's all I got. That's the only way I'm going to give you. But you cannot tell me that Leo chose to walk away from being an elder for Piper when he left Piper to become an elder. Not once, but twice. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Do not play with me. And then I saw someone be like, well, he had to choose the greater good. Whether he had to choose the greater good, I understand it. I understand the argument. And I'm not trying to down talk that argument. My point here is that he chose the greater good over her and then expected for her to just be okay with it. And then when he realized she wasn't going to be okay with it, he was like, because mind you, during the whole episode, when Piper would try to call him, what did he do? He was up there in the heavens, child, living his best life. He wasn't even answering the woman no more. He would just jingle back at her. This woman that he is jumping up and down in and around, and he doesn't even answer her or come down when she calls. He's just jingling back at her. Get out of me. Get out of me. Get out of me. I sound like Piper. Get out of me, Leo. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. And then, here's the thing. Oh, am I single? What they got to do with this? Please don't be some kind of whatever page. Listen, Catherine, just look, Catherine, take care of that. Because this ain't the time. I'm already upset right now. This ain't the time. Thank y'all for what y'all have sent me. I haven't even had a chance to say thank you. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it. I knew I was going to talk about him, but I didn't think I was going to go in on him like this. Yes, I did, but I didn't think to this extent for this long. Listen, this makes me see what Piper did to Dan in a different light. Now, I am not excusing her for gaslighting Dan, because she did gaslight Dan. Am I saying that she's the world's worst person? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that she gaslit Dan, and we can move on from there. That's not me saying, oh my God, I hate Piper. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, on the show, from my perspective, I feel like Piper gaslit Dan. Sometimes it wasn't necessarily intentional. Sometimes, meh. It depends on the day. What I am saying is that Dan did not trust Lily. And instead of Piper talking to him and being like, look, am I saying that she had to go into depth? No. I feel like at this point, Piper could have just been consistent with him and said, there are some things that are going on in my life that I cannot explain to you right now. But once we get to a certain point, I can explain things. Like, there's of course, he still probably would have gotten tired of that, but Piper didn't even try. Like, she would be like, no, Leo's just a friend. And that was so stupid. And had this man looking crazy. There are people who hate Dan to this day because they feel like he was doing too much. Am I saying that he wasn't doing too much? No, because maybe he was. And, my thing is, if I am dating you and I have invited you to family functions, I have invited you out of town, I have invited you to stay over the night, but I can't stay at your house. Every time I come over there, this man is here that I know you used to be in a relationship with. He's always at the club where you work at, because he works there too, quote unquote. But then he's coming from your house at 12 o'clock midnight to come. Girl, stop. Like, stop. That's the kind of stuff that people do to other people. Now I am getting a little bit into the real life here, because I wasn't like upset, but this is the kind of stuff that people do in real life, and they play with people's feelings, and then they call them crazy. They constantly had an ex on the phone. They constantly had an ex coming over. They constantly going to hang out with this person and do that and da-da-da-da. And then the moment they get called out on it, now you just being too sensitive. That's insanity. And again, here's the thing. Piper had a reason to do it. Like, it's not like, because we know of any sister that was going to keep the secret of magic, it was going to be Piper. Piper was not finna fool with it like that. So I understand to a certain extent. My thing is, you have to know how to balance that. And she didn't even try. And then the writers made it worse by having her go back and say, I never needed a spell to show me where my heart was. So you just been playing with Dan this whole time? You telling me that this whole time you've been with this man, you just knew you never needed a spell to tell you, because you knew you wanted Leo. So Dan was just your way of distracting yourself. The writers did that. Because there was no reason in adding that line. What they could have said was, it's a very easy fix. All she had to say was, I have been lying to myself. And it has this, and have her stare at Leo. Same effect. Same effect. If Phoebe had said, well, did you get anything from the spell? And Piper said, I realize I've been lying to myself. And then she stares at Leo. Boom. Problem solved. Problem solved. Now we have had this moment where Piper acknowledges the fact that even though she does care about Dan, she has not been invested in it fully because this is how she feels about Leo. Problem solved. But by having her say, I never needed a spell to tell me where my heart was, now you've moved her into I've been using him as a distraction territory. Whether she has or not is up to debate of the person. So I'm not telling you how you should feel about that. What I am saying is that having a character say certain lines paints their character in a certain light. And the reason I brought all of that up is to say that Leo was never respectful of these people's relationship. Ever. He was never respectful of these people's relationship. He was always hanging around. He wanted to make Dan jealous because he wanted him. And then the little line with their past lives about like, oh, I'm hoping Piper will learn from her past mistakes. Now, if someone had said that about you, you would be up there upset. Now, wouldn't you? You would be up there on your cloud crying, wouldn't you? Yeah. Yeah. You would be up there on cloud 9 with Natalie crying it up, wouldn't you? Yeah. Yeah. You sure would. Yeah. You'd be upset. But because it's Dan, who cares? Because I'm the one who deserves Piper's heart. You want to know who else they wrote stupid like that? But because it's a different character and a different relationship, nobody acknowledges it. Phoebe. Phoebe has not okay. If we take out the part about Phoebe having premonitions, because we can take that out. We can take that out completely for this scenario. Phoebe, of her own accord, had very, very good intuition. And she had very good instincts. And the fact that she threw that all out the door for Cole, and after the whole thing happened in the attic with the crystal cage in its most rustic form, where Prue was trying to electrocute people, but we're gonna come back to that at a later date. That Prue was trying. Later on, the crystal cage was just a cage. When Prue did it, it was electricity. Prue was trying to take people out. Instead of saying to Prue, I don't know why he was up here, I can't explain it, and I'm gonna keep my eye out because I know the demons come after us, Phoebe said, do you think you could call Cole and apologize? Do I what? Do I who? Do you think I can do huh? Girl, not on Pat Benatar's internet. Not in the year of our Lord 2000. I think it was 2000 at that point. Not in the year of our Lord 2000. I won't be calling him today. And they had Phoebe acting like an idiot. And she gets called out every 5 minutes. Deservedly so. Especially with the fact that she didn't even want Piper and Leo to get married, which, I mean, now I'm kind of with her. But she was scared of the way it was going to come back on her. And she was scared of the way that it was going to impact her. And the fact that the elders could smite her. But then later on, she didn't care what happened as long as she got her man. She told Piper, if you leave his house, oh, thank you for the heart. She told Piper, if you leave his house, Grams is going to come up from wherever she's at. And she's going to hate you for eternity. And she's going to call you a bald-head hoe that can't figure out your own life. But then when it was time for her to go, she said, baby, it's time for me to leave. She said, I don't know what to tell you. She said, Paige knows how to orb now. Baby, we got to go. She said, she said, I don't know what to do. It's time for me to leave. I don't know. She said, she said, baby. She said, BB, I don't know what to tell you, BB. She said, I don't know what to tell you, BB. I can't. Like, I can't. Like, I don't have the ability nor the capacity to deal with these people today. I like the writers did this to these people, and then we as young people, because here's the thing is, I do think that to a certain extent, most of us were young when we watched the show, and most of us were watching it as it was, well, I'm not gonna say most, I'm gonna say some of us were watching the show as it came on. And so when you can't binge watch something necessarily, the episode to episode nuances can get a little bit lost, unless you're one of those people who just keeps track of stuff in your mind perfectly. And so that's why I say I think it's fun to go back as an adult and look at these storylines, because there was things I didn't see when I was young. I didn't see the flaws in them. I was just like, oh my God. You know, I looked at the fact that Paige had temp jobs and was like, oh my God, I can't wait to be an adult and get a temp job. And now I'm like, mama didn't have insurance. She was probably getting a paper check that had 10 in it and not where you would want it to be. Like, 9 will get you 10. She just walked in off the street. She didn't even put in an application. She probably just walked in and said, I'd like to work here, please. And they said, okay. And they paid her under the table. When you went to go walk her dogs and you brought them back, they were just like, here you go. So as an adult, the whole temp job storyline is not cute to me. As a kid, seeing Phoebe be stressed out when she first stole that woman's job, and she was like, oh, there's so much to do. I was like, oh my God, Phoebe's typing at a computer. And now I'm like, you think that I'm gonna come in and I'm not probably even getting paid for this yet, and you think I'm gonna sit here at this job and whatever? Girl, get away from me. I'm not doing that. And then the desk was junky, but I can relate to the woman. That's the thing about it. The woman who had the powers put in her, I can relate to her now. Because at first I was like, oh my God, how can she even work in that? Because there's no way she can do anything because the papers are everywhere. And now, now I'm like, girl, my pal be looking like that sometimes too. You know what? Actually, now, shut up, Galen. Don't say that. Listen. So now I understand where old girl was coming from, and I understand why she went after Release. So looking at the show from an adult storyline, and I think that's part of the reason that the show gets really, really hard to talk about sometimes, is when certain things are brought up, people tend to say things like, it's just a show. You guys take everything so seriously. Why do we have to talk about that? Oh my God. Well, baby, the reason that we have to talk about certain things is because it affected the way we grew up. Don't you think? This is what I really don't think people get sometimes. Like, I really, really don't think people understand this. And this is what bothers me about fandoms. And really about people in general, is people will say things like, don't let, y'all the ones that's wrong for letting TV influence you. Everybody that grew up watching TV in any shape, form, or fashion was influenced by it in some way. It could have been you seeing a baseball player that you loved, and you see them play. Did somebody say Avena? Oh, Aviva. Oh, okay. I was like, who was Avena? But anyway, so it could be you seeing a baseball player that you love, and you know what it did? It made you say, I want to be just like that baseball player. And guess what happened? TV and media, where that person is what word am I looking for? Famous. That helped you to see that maybe I can do this too. And so everyone else, oh, you assume we watch baseball. No. Well, girl, clearly, if I'm not talking to you, I'm not talking to you. Anyway, point being, I'm using that as an example to say everything that we watched on TV to some in some shape, form, or fashion influenced us. And it might not be the way you act, it may not be the way you carry yourself, but you might have watched a certain animated cartoon and you love that animation style, and you would just sit there all day just doodling and drawing and trying to come up with your own characters to be in that world and whatever else, like you, and that influenced you. You may not necessarily care about those characters, you may not necessarily care about that show, but the way the show looked influenced you, and that's how you got into artistry. That's how you knew you wanted to be a character designer. That's how you knew you loved to draw. You might have been one of those people like myself who would sit there and look at the story and think about ways you would rewrite it. And then you 10 years old rewriting stories, which is probably, a bigger issue that, we went into our own little fantasy world, but that's not the point. The point is that you found something in these TV shows, cartoons, movies, whatever. You found something that informed your personality. And that's why as adults now, we talk about them and we talk about the things that are maybe not up to snuff in them, because we know it inside and out. And for me, looking at things from a different perspective is what I've been trying to do the past couple of years of my life. And so looking at things from a different perspective has led me to be more critical of the show in ways that I hadn't before. Not because, oh, I hate this character, oh, I hate that character. No, because I want to see the show from a different perspective. And this different perspective has made me hate Leo at this point in my life. Because Lily is a gaslighter, not a white lighter. And it's even little things like when he told Paige, well, as your white lighter, I encourage you to go out on your own and follow your intuition. And Paige was like, that's actually some good advice. Thank you, Leo. And then what did he follow it up with? But as your brother-in-law did, I think it's, I'm not going to say that word, to go up against your sisters. Lily, I hate you. Lily, I hate you for that. Because who do you work for? Like, it makes me want to be like Jennifer Love Hewitt in I Know What You Did Last Summer. What are you waiting for? Like, it makes me want to ask, what do you want? Why are you here? Like, okay. And then here's the other thing about it. Remember when they first met Paige and he was low-key being a little mannish with her? And he was like, well, I'm your white lighter. So if there's ever a time you want to, show me anything or share anything with me, I'm always down to take a lavender bath. I mean, hear about your problems and listen. Lily. 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 Your wife, your common law wife, is standing right here next to you. And then he was always throwing little jabs at Piper, because was Piper a lot to handle at times? Yes, she absolutely was. But it would be little times like when Paige was trying to go into the house, and Piper was trying to, like, I can't remember if it was that scene, but I think it was. Remember when when Paige was trying to go into the old abandoned house, and Piper was like, Paige, Paige, whatever. And she just kept going. And she was like, I don't remember what Piper said. And Leo was like, huh, well, she's definitely got the Hallowell hearing. Leo. Lily. You are literally talking to your wife. Why? And that's such a small moment. That's such a small moment. It's such a small moment. But it makes me so angry because Leo had like this old school mentality, which is partly because he came from an older time. But he would do stupid stuff like, remember when Piper was hurting after she had lost her big sister? One of the only two people left that she grew up with, like intimately grew up with, one of the only two last people left. And what did Leo say? Well, I'm your husband, and when you speak to me that way, that means there is a problem. What? There what? There's a what? Leo. Leo. Lee. Oh. First off, Piper is barely hanging on. Let's just go ahead and acknowledge that. Piper is barely hanging on in this moment. It is taking everything in her to just exist in this moment. Like literally standing there. And she even said it hurts to breathe at one point. This woman is in shambles. And her mental health isn't even existent at this point. So we're not even worried about that. Her mental state is just the teensiest of threads. But what is Leo worried about? The way Piper speaks to him because he's her husband. Okay. But then we get Phoebe crap. Because when they're in the attic and she's like, we've tried, what did she say? She was like, we've tried all kinds of magic, whatever, to bring her back. And what does Phoebe say? Phoebe's like, Leo can't. And then the episode with the jury, trial by magic. What does Lily do? Right? Piper is like, we need to erase these people's minds. That episode is stupid anyway because it shouldn't have taken the power of 3 to summon that ghost. But somebody else made a good point that, she wasn't related to them by blood. So maybe that's why it took the power of 3. That's neither here nor there. Which is a whole other conversation. I do agree with that assessment that maybe they had to use the power of 3 because the person wasn't related to them. That's neither here nor there. So they get back and Piper is like, Leo, can you use the dust? I was about to say the fairy dust, but it's not the fairy dust. It's just the white lighter memory dust. And, oh, now I'm lagging. How bad is it? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm going to wait till y'all say it's better because I want to make sure it's better first. Okay, it's good now. Okay. So, Piper's like, can you use the memory dust? And what does Leo say? Not only does he say it's against the rules, not only that, but he goes, I guess. You guess? You guess? You guess. You are bouncing up and down in and around your charge that you have moved heaven and heaven for. And now you're concerned about the rules. Okay. 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 Wait, how many likes is it at? Because, baby, I ain't been paying no attention. I'm going to tell y'all right now. I didn't even realize that I've been talking for an hour. Not 15K likes. Baby, listen. Listen, I've been on a roll tonight, and I'm sorry. I'm kind of sorry, but I'm not at the same time. Listen, join the Patreon. While I'm lucid for a second, join the Patreon. Join the Discord. Follow me. Do something. Like help a brother out. Help a brother out in some kind of way. You can find the Patreon in my bio. It's the power of G. Just search me in Patreon, the power of G. I just this is what I mean when I say that. Can everybody hear me fine, first off? Like, first and foremost, can everybody hear me fine? I want to make sure I'm not lagging because, okay, so we all good. Okay, good. Okay, all right. So somebody brought up couples therapy. No. Yeah, that is the episode I'm thinking about. Because remember when Piper and Lily were talking about what they need to change, and she said something. I don't remember what Piper said, but Leo was like, and somebody needs to learn to be a wife first. Excuse me? I don't remember what Piper said. That's the only thing, is I don't remember what she said. But he was like, and somebody needs to learn to be, oh, come on, Cap. Thank you. Thank you for the hat. Somebody needs to learn to be a wife first. Leo, how about you learn how to be a wife first? How about that? How about you learn to be a wife first, Leo? Because number one, your wife is not just some regular schmegula Joe from down the street. She is one of the three most powerful will be fun boy. I said he needs to learn how to be a wife first. I didn't say husband, I said wife. And that's the word I used because that's the word I meant. Was he needed to learn how to be a wife first. He needed to learn how to be a partner. He needed to learn. No, I didn't mean husband will be fun boy. I said wife. And that's the word that I meant. I meant the word wife. W-I-F-E. That's the word I meant. So, Piper, before Phoebe got her job, for that brief little window of time, was supporting the whole house. That's number one. Number two, Piper is running a successful club, vanquishing demons, just gave birth to your child, and is having to not only protect herself and her family, but also her baby from demons. And a wife first? Like, you can't be for real. Like, there's no way that you can open your mouth to say she needed to learn how to be a wife. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. And the whole reason that she wanted this, well, not the whole reason. Let me not just put her down to that. I'm not saying. Part of the reason that she wanted this child was because she wanted to be able to have a family with you, even though you can't afford to have a baby. Because you can't afford to exist. Because you're trying to live like a human. But then you ain't got nothing to back it up. Okay. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to try to say this very nicely. No, I'm not. No, I'm not, because it's unnecessary. I'm not going to say it. I am not going to say that because I said I was going to be nice to people in the comments. What I am going to say is I use the word he needs to learn how to be a wife because that is what I meant to say. Stop telling me that I meant husband because that's not the word that I meant. Had I meant husband, I would have gone back and said I mean husband. I said wife. And if you think that I meant another word, then please feel free to send me something on Cash App so that you can help me pay this AT&T phone bill every month. Because if you're going to tell me what I meant, then baby, you're going to help me pay the bill. Boom. Boom. Problem solved. So, like I said, Piper is having to take care of this child and her family and run a business. I thought you made a mistake, baby. I've been Galen, social media. Now we gotta repeat ourselves 10,000 times and it's still not heard. Oh my God. Is everything okay? That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not why we're here. That's not why we're here. That's not why we're here. Piper is literally working overtime to get done what needs to get done. And be a mother, a person, a woman, a charmed one, a wife, a friend, even though we don't ever see her with friends, really, unless the story necessitates it. And you're going to look this woman in her face and say she needs to learn how to be a wife first. And I don't know who this is that keeps saying Piper solos, but can you please stop? That is not what we are here to talk about. If you want to talk about Piper soloing, please go do that on your own page. We don't do that here. And I did not mean to say that directly, but I'm sick of saying it. And as you can see, I'm kind of charged up tonight. So please stop. Please. Jesus. Okay. All right. Let me hush. Okay. 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 I got very upset about this. And I'm going to tell you why I got very upset about this. I'm going to tell y'all what really made me feel like I don't feel like I've ever gotten angry behind something before with Charm. Like I feel like I've gotten like upset or heated or maybe passionate and like gotten very like involved, but I've never gotten angry before. And I think that the reason I got angry is because for years I have seen Piper in such a negative light because of different things. And now that I'm going back and watching it, I'm realizing how the writers screwed her over and gaslit her. I'm really starting to see that now. Like I'm really understanding that the way they wrote this woman's storylines, they really gaslit her. And it makes me upset, not because of the characters necessarily, but because of the writers behind the characters. And they didn't give Piper a chance to be happy. And then you have someone like Leo just there constantly screwing this woman over, whether it be in little ways, big ways, whatever the case may be. Now, mind you, this was the same exact episode, but they were women writers. Did I say that they weren't? Anyway, that's not the point. 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 What bothers me is the fact that this show is something that I held so dear and still do. Like this show still, like, of course, like everything I'm saying is just me being upset. Like it's just me being upset right now. But it makes me mad because it's like for this to be such a huge part of all of our lives and to see how these people like beat these characters down, I'm like, oh my God. Like, are y'all for real right now? Are you serious? And then years later, you have us on the internet talking about all this stuff, and it's like, man, I'm telling you, I got very upset. I got very upset. I got very upset about that because this is, if I and I'm gonna okay, let me I'm trying to put into words really why I got upset. Like, I'm trying to actually really put into words. And I think it's because it made me relate to Piper in a way that I don't think I ever have before, which is me feeling like I try to express myself or experience an emotion and somebody ruins it for me, or somebody tells me that it's not the right thing to feel, or I try to do things a certain way and people in my past, like in my life, have kind of told me like, okay, that's great that you're upset or that you're happy, but I'm gonna need you to be upset because this, like, let's not get too happy. Because remember, in this same season, Piper says that every time something good happens to her, something inevitably happens to come along and ruin it. And when I went back and watched this show, as God is my witness, I saw exactly what she was talking about. And I don't even think it was an intentional thing by the writers. I think they wrote that in for that episode, and I will be doggone it if they made it right. She's excited about having a baby. What does Leo do? He tells her, well, baby, I'm sorry to tell you, you shouldn't be anxious. I mean, you shouldn't be happy. You need to be anxious. Like, this is some scary stuff. Her and Leo get married, and for whatever reason, she's actually happy. What happens? Prue gets unalived. She's living her life with Jeremy. And she thinks that Jeremy is a normal person. She's found this great guy. She is excited about the way her interview went. Boom. Jeremy is actually a warlock, and he is trying to unalive her and her sisters. There's always something. And it's like it's crazy to think about that, because when you think about it from that perspective, the later seasons where Piper is like being sarcastic and snarky and whatever else, well, I see why she was, because I would have been over it too at that point, because girl, I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. I can't even have a child. I can't even have a baby without demons knocking down the door to come and get my baby. And then you telling me my baby turned evil and that my baby done took over the world, or at least San Francisco, which is weird why he would limit it to San Francisco, but whatever. My childhood home is being constantly run over with demons like they roaches every 5 minutes. And everything that I have said tonight is exactly why I will never look at Leo the same way. If whoever that is talking about that chocolate and Piper getting pregnant says chocolate or Piper getting pregnant one more time, I am going to scream on tonight. In the year of our Lord 2024, if I look at this screen one more time and I see Piper and Cole and chocolate, I am going to scream. And I mean that. Okay, Leia said that person was muted. I can't take it. Maybe it's the bipolar. I don't know what's happening tonight, but baby, they got me fired up. They got me fired up. Do you understand me? I am hot. Baby, I am hot. Lord. Okay. Thank you, Catherine. See, Catherine be looking out. Catherine and Leia be looking out. Everybody be looking out, low key. So, but Catherine and Leia they eat when they start looking out. So, yeah, I'm telling you, it like I got heated talking about that. I think I started sweating. Leo makes me sick. And it's not just Leo, it's the way Leo is written. Like, because the same episode where they're doing, I think that's Cat House, right? Where he says that about somebody needs to learn how to be a wife first. That's the same episode where Lily is upset at Piper for being close to her sisters. And then I hate when people say, but he's old school, so of course that's what he wants. That's perfectly fine that that's what Leo wants, but that's not what Leo deserves. Leo doesn't bring, I feel like that's that mentality of like misogyny, that because he's old school and he thinks old school, that that's what he wants from her, and so he should just get it. I don't care that that's what he wants. I really don't. I could care less that that's what Leo wants. Leo does not bring anything to their relationship outside of being their white lighter that would deserve this unwavering, undying loyalty that he thinks he should get. Nothing. He brings nothing to the table outside of being a white lighter. And I want to make sure that I double back and reiterate that. Being a white lighter is a big job, but Leo is the one who chose to mix being a white lighter with being her husband. You can't always have both of them the way you want them to be, and that's what he wanted. He wanted her to be subservient while also being her white lighter. So I'm here to guide, but you better shut the up and do what I want you to do. If that makes sense to him, then that's great, because it doesn't make any sense to me. You want her to be a subservient wife in the early 2000s, the way Lillian probably was in 1937. Well, maybe not 1937, maybe like 1942. But you want her to be like Lillian. Baby, no. That you're not bringing home. And am I saying that being an ideal partner for someone is linked to your ability to take care of the house? That's not my personal stance, although I do know there are people who do think like that. So if you do, I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't. I'm saying I don't think like that, and I'll leave it at that. My thing is, Leo does not contribute anything other than fixing walls every now and again. Every now and again, let's be very clear about that. Every now and again, he doesn't contribute anything past that. And healing sinks and signs. Yeah. Using magic to heal sinks and signs. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's all he does. And outside of being a white lighter, which is his job. Let's put that on the line. Before somebody's like, well, he always heals her and he's there for her. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to be doing. He doesn't get any husband points because he heals Piper. That is what he is supposed to be doing. Oh, somebody said they're getting kind of bored talking about Leo. Well, they're talking about just Leo. Well, send me something on Cash App, baby. We can change the subject to whatever you want. It's King G, 1991. Whatever you want to discuss, you send me something on there, and baby, I got you. Because this is what I'm discussing right now. So, oh, not subscribed. What is a subscribed? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Oh. Oh. Um. I don't know what that. I don't know what that means. What is it? What do I need to do? So what do I do? What do I do with that? Because I don't know what to. Do I like? I didn't care. Is Jerry the person that said they didn't want to talk about the show and then they subscribed? Wait. Because, baby, I'm very shocked right now. I am very caught off guard. I am very shocked. I need somebody to help me. Because I don't know what to do. Well, first off, Jerry, thank you for that. That is the first time something has happened. So I don't know what the subscription thing fully is. But I promise you, I'm going to go look at it. And whatever it does, I got you. I don't know what that does, but I got you. So I'm gonna go look. Baby, listen. Listen. I'm not even trying to be like funny. I'm just saying, like, thank you. And thank you, Pandemonium 31 for subbing. I don't know what. Thank you. Girl. A child. Listen, that done threw me off. I'm going to tell you why that threw me off. Let me stop. Let me take a minute. Let me take a breath. Let me come up for air. And let me tell you why that caught me off guard. I appreciate that. And I want to take a moment, take a breath, and not just breeze past that. That is a very huge moment for me because I don't know fully what that means. But the fact that you were willing to subscribe to this, whatever that entails, I appreciate you. And I'm going to look at it. And if I'm assuming that there's some kind of perks that are supposed to come with it. So if that is the case, then please know that you will be taken care of because I appreciate that. Wow. Okay. Wow. Thank you. I'm gonna get at you. And I'm gonna figure out what that means. Cause I want you to get your stuff, whatever. Let me look, cause girl, I'm telling you, this done. Well, girl, just know we're gonna give him a shout out. We're gonna give them a shout out, like whenever they come up in here, and we're gonna come up with some other stuff that's gonna be a perk for the live for them. Not a second person. Baby, not y'all want to hear me go off like this. Thank you, Samantha. Well, girl. What y'all want to talk about? Girl, what do y'all want to talk about? You tell me what you want to talk about and we'll go from there. How about that? Y'all give me a topic. Okay, I'm done now. Cause I don't know what to, girl, listen, I'm gonna give you your money's worth starting tonight. How about that? Cause I appreciate everybody truly who like, oh, thank you for the heart thingy. I appreciate truly everybody. And I want y'all to know that, like, I appreciate, like, this is not going over my head. This is something that I appreciate. And I want you to know that, like, that is crazy to me. So, girl, you tell me what. Oh, come on, hat. Thank you, girl. You tell me what y'all want to talk about. Jay and Cassandra. I think it's Jay and Cassandra. Y'all tell me what y'all want to talk about, and we gonna talk about that for a little bit, cause we gonna do that. Because my God in heaven, you didn't have to do that. And thank you. Is it Ace? Ace Customs? Ace is the place with the healthy hardware store. Okay, let me follow you back because Baby, not only are you cutting up, but I love the description, child. Come on, Polly pro black. Because we are very pro black on this channel. I actually have some stuff lined up for Black History Month. I'm so excited about that because I can't wait to give it to y'all. I can't wait to talk about like, because y'all know I got a podcast. And so thank you, Ace, first off, like seriously, thank you. I'm giving y'all I'm doing a rewatch of Wicked City, which is a black female witch show. That's number one. Number two, we're doing black movie reviews. It might get a little bit, I want to do one every week, but it may be a little bit hectic for me to do one every week. So what I'm thinking I'm probably going to do is go ahead and record them, and they just won't be like 40-minute epics, but you know, I am going to do that. Like I am going to do that. Because I really want us to be at the forefront, and I want us to be like centered and, you know, here. So, yeah, I just want to stop and tell y'all that real quick. Girl, I've been so fired up. I didn't know what was happening. I've been so fired up this whole, and that's what I mean when I say like, this is why we still talk about Charmed. Thank you, Ace. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware store. I love that. Thank you. Listen, so Samantha said, y'all, I said Cassandra, I mean Samantha. Samantha, what you want to talk about? Samantha and Jay, what y'all want to talk about? Y'all tell me something, and then we can talk about that. Thank you, Daddy-O. Daddy-O. Ooh, Daddy-O. Oh, Daddy-O is a proud dad of 6. Okay, never mind. Okay, my bad. I ain't mean to say it like that. My bad. I don't mean to disrespect you or Mommy-O. That's my fault. Rapper, actor, dancer, king of my domain. Okay. Okay, Daddy-O. Okay. Not Apollo. Come on, Eyes. And y'all want to support me? And y'all want to support me? Who? Jennifer. Thank you. Girl, y'all done took my breath away. And no, I didn't just lose my breath because I'm fat. So don't play with me like that. Don't come at me like that, because y'all know I'm fat. And y'all know when I be doing a lot of moving, y'all know sometimes I get a little breathless. Don't play with me like that. Y'all done took my breath away. Oh my God. Oh, child. Okay. Well, baby, Jennifer said. Well, Jennifer is the first one that has said what she want me to talk about. Jennifer said, now let's talk about how Cole is the new Billy Appleby child. Now, I don't know what that means fully. So I need to know what that means. so we can go from there. So I need to understand what you mean by that. Cause the Billy Appleby's child. What that mean? Can Jennifer come on? Let me see. Because I don't know what that means. And I need to hear it because yes, I'm putting you on the spot right now, and you'll be okay. Let's see. Now I said you'll be okay. Baby, thank y'all for the gifts and the subscribe. Thank you. Dear Lord in heaven. Lord Jesus, I could just spit.
Hey y'all, hey.
Phone turned up. Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
So you don't remember in the early seasons when Phoebe used to be sitting in front of that TV watching that movie Kill It Before It Dies, and she was all obsessed with Billy Appleby from the movie, and he came to life.
Oh my God, yes.
So
What's his
now
last name?
here I
Appleby?
am in 2024, and Cole is like my very own Billy Appleby, because you know Julian don't look like that no more, but I just be over here salivating. I
But
love
I'm not
I
gonna say what
love
I
me
want
some
to say.
Julian, but Julian ain't Julian from 2000. But I be watching Charm like it just came out yesterday. It's my own little Billy Appleby on it.
Julian is still a very good looking man. He does give a little bit of kin sometimes with the
Right. I mean,
plastic.
he gives a
But
little he gives a little unk. He's still a sexy unk, but he gives a little unk. But
hmm hmm
he's today's Billy Appleby now. So I'm Phoebe now.
so let me tell you what I thought you meant. I thought that you meant that he was Billy, and you know I be saying that Patty left Paige behind Applebee's. So for some reason, I thought you meant that he was Billy leaving a baby behind an Applebee's, and that's why I was so
No.
confused. That's why I was so confused because I was like, "What does that mean?" Because I wanted to talk about it, and thank you again for subscribing because I never would
Why you
have.
keep saying they left that baby behind Arby's? Like that's so
Because she did. When Patty was like, and that's when Sam and I we knew we had to leave the baby at McDonald's and order a number five. And then we came home and we ate the fries and they were very delicious. The burger was a little bit dry, but we knew she was safe because someone had just gotten off their shift and they took her home.
a
Like
mess.
it was giving very bad. It
They
was
they
giving
they they gave that. They gave that.
yeah.
They
It
did.
I just love saying it because it's so funny. It's so funny to say that she left that baby behind Applebee's or
Yep.
Arby's. The first time I said that, people were like, it was like some people were dying laughing, and then other people were like, she had to give her baby up, and you don't even understand. And I was like, girl,
Right.
calm down.
Two.
Calm down. Oh wait, somebody said I can't watch Charmed again. It was me and my mom's favorite show. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. I wish I knew what to say. That's
I'm
sad.
sorry for your loss. That's sad.
Really sorry. Cause I can't imagine what it must be like. Especially, it's got to be hard to like have positive memories associated with a show like this and such a. Oh, thank you for the cowboy hat. And still like what I mean. Like that's got to be a difficult feeling. So thank you for being here and for at least listening to us because I know that was very difficult. So
Yeah.
um
No, but Galen, you have to tell us whenever they're having like their conventions and meetups, because I see all of that, and I don't know where you be finding these like situations.
it was random. It was very random because I at the beginning of 2023 I had said I want to meet at least one of them this year. And I've talked about this on here, but I don't know like how extensively, like if people know this, but I have arthritis in my hips and in my knees. And so it's exacerbated by the fact that I'm a heavy person. And so like I never went to stuff like that because like long lines and stuff like that are not friendly to me. So I just kind of told myself like I can't do it. I can't, go. And so I kind of let go of that dream, but I had it in the back of my mind. And then probably somewhere around March, I want to say, I found out Holly was gonna be in Tennessee. And I was like, I guess I'll buy the tickets. I kind of had like a little, I don't want to use this phrase, but I kind of was like in a little like, bipolar moment. And I don't mean that to be funny. I mean, like, I am diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And I was kind of like in the moment, oh, thank you for the heart hands, Jerry. Baby, y'all done gooped me tonight. Between you and everyone else, I am gooped tonight. I never would have thought someone would ever, between that and the Patreon, I am gooped and gagged that people
Period.
that y'all like support me enough. Like that's why I'm trying. I promise you when I say that like the content that I'm planning to put out, I'm really, really trying to put out good content this year and put out better content, not just because I want to like get followers, but because I really, really want to put myself and the thoughts and ideas that I have out there. So the way that everyone is supporting me is just like is boosting me up. Like you don't know.
No,
Because I have
I love your content. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't know like other black people were obsessed with Charmed. I thought like I was weird in the corner. You know what I mean? Like, and
yeah.
then one day you just came up, and I was like, what?
Mhm.
Okay.
That's not Like I didn't know it either. And then one day it was like I started talking about it and someone was like, "Oh my God, you watch this show too?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm talking about it." And because I'm not thinking like we're gonna watch it. I'm just thinking like, "Oh, we are, whatever." And then it was like two or three people, and then it was a couple of people, and then it just like is like boom, now we have a whole community, and it's like I'm so happy about our community. I really am. That's why I get so excited on Tuesdays and Saturdays because I'm like, yes, I'm finna go live and we finna talk and I'm gonna see my people and I'm gonna, we're gonna catch up or whatnot.
Right.
And it's just like, cause baby, I was ready for tonight. I was ready. Do you
I
understand
see,
me?
because you was reading Leo down for about a good 45 minutes.
I was prepared. I am telling you, I was on my silky nutmeg ganache. And if I had to lip sync, I was prepared to do so. Like, when I tell you, I was ready to
No,
read
I
him.
agree with everything you said, Leo. I didn't see it the way you saw it until you started pointing things out, and then I thought about it, I was like, oh my gosh, Leo was a mess.
Hmm.
He,
Hmm.
he, he was a mess. He was problematic. I never noticed.
Hmm. And it's sad that the writers wrote him like that just to turn around and make some of us, I'm gonna say some of us as viewers feel like Piper was just this like a bitter creature, like, oh, she's just always mad and poor Leo. Like there was a time where I really was like poor Leo. Like Leo was like Piper was treating Leo wrong. And then when
Yeah.
I go back and I watch it now, I'm like, I have got to be insane to have actually thought that about this show because the way it was written didn't set that story up for that. So,
I said it in a couple times in the comments, but I'm gonna say it again. Now that you've talked about it, it's the hunching the trying to hunch granny for me. That was the part where I knew Leo was problematic from that. Because how you try to hunch her granny, and then when she put in her pictures in the baby book, you gonna say, "Oh, you were so cute at that age." I'm sorry, sir. What did you just say?
yes,
Like,
yes,
what are we
you
doing?
clearly knew this woman's grandmother and her mother. You met her as a baby, and I'm going to assume we're watching her. And you're like, yeah, you were cute,
Like, child, like, oh boy, are you okay? Too,
child.
he was too
It
much.
made my nerves bad. I was like, I can't do this. I'm telling you, I was prepared. I have been preparing that all day because I was like, even if not but five people listen to me rant tonight, I was bound and determined tonight was gonna be the night that I got this off my chest about Leo. I can't, like, I could not go on any further with this foolishness.
Poor Dan, though. You was right. Dan didn't deserve that.
He
Poor Dan.
didn't. He didn't. And it's just like between Dan and Jason to a certain extent, I feel bad for the other men in their lives who didn't really get like Henry and Glenn were the only ones who kind of got a real chance to accept magic.
Mm.
um Andy is debatable because I don't count the spell because he it was only 24 hours. He didn't have time to process that. That wasn't a fair shake. But we do see like eventually he was still willing to lose his life for proof. So Andy is a little bit,
But
I'm gonna
Glenn
give it to
was
him.
passing through. Glenn wasn't even like worth knowing. He was passing through for a second, and he found out the whole secret. Mind you, they was running Dan in circles for poor Piper was running Dan in circles for months, and Glenn stopped by, and they was like, "So you know I'm a witch, right?" Like what?
He was like, what's new with you? And he was like, I got some new shoes and I'm thinking about getting a new job. I just found out that I got sisters and we're witches. Oh, and I
Like
was gonna go try
what?
that new Chinese place. And it's like, you what? Like, can you come on, meteor shot? Oh my god. Baby. Baby. Let me
Poor
tell you
Dan
something.
almost lost his life and never knew the secret till he almost lost his life.
And I want to stop for a second just to acknowledge how pretty that meteor shower was from JD. The way y'all finna have me up tonight, between like the way everyone is gonna have me up tonight at like 2 o'clock in the morning editing videos, y'all don't even know. Let me tell you something. Let me just get off the. Let me for 1 minute. Let me just say this. I felt so defeated today, and I don't know why, but today I felt very tired, and I felt very like I'm putting all this out ain't nobody gonna watch it. And I kind of talked myself out of, like, I had to make myself film something today that I had planned. And it was like, I literally was telling myself, like, nobody's gonna watch this. So, does it even matter if I get it out on time? And everyone believing in me tonight has reignited that fire
We be watching
because
you, friend. We be watching you. Okay.
I
We be
appreciate.
loving your little hot takes. Period.
Thank you. I just like I mean, and it's more it's. I always hate making it feel like seem like it's like the money part of it. It's not that. It's the fact that you believe in me enough to know that like I am going to produce something that is going to be worth this.
Right.
And girl, not me finna be up here crying on live again. Child, I said I wasn't gonna do that no more. I said I was
No,
gonna leave it
someone
alone.
mentioned the page dancing. I be cracking up at your page dancing from it's the page. I thought I was the only one that noticed until I saw you
Mhm.
do it. I thought I was the only one that thought that was hilarious. Paige's little dance. I remember the first time she did it on her first little episode with Shax.
She was cutting up too. That's the thing. She was in that club. She said, and she was like looking back at it. She was looking back at it. She said,
And then the beat stopped right with her. She you could tell she thought she ate.
and then she was like, when she was singing Fever, she was like, never know. And she had the microphone. She was like, never know how much I love you. And I was like, okay, ma'am. And she was like, my girl was cutting up. She hit that dance and said, let me show y'all something. She said, you didn't know it before, but you're going to know it tonight. She said, I said, yes, ma'am. When my
Period.
girl was like, what was it? I don't remember what she said in the episode where they were getting their facials and stuff. And she was like, they were like, look at you, super witch or whatever. And she was like,
Oh yes, yes.
and I was like, ma'am, come on now. Come on. And when my girl was like, I can't, I'm not going to say his government name, but thank you for the roses to the man who calls me his husband, but he don't treat me that way. So I'm not going to acknowledge him.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Okay.
Oh,
Oh, okay, fireworks.
thank you for the fireworks. We are cutting
Okay.
up tonight. Thank you. Oh, you're making me feel so warm inside.
See, they
And
sent us to make sure that you knew that content
mhm,
needs to be made. Okay?
listen, I really feel like that because y'all don't know. Like, I genuinely was so discouraged today and was like, there's no way I'm like, I wasn't on the verge of like quitting. I was just on the verge of being like, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. And what I realized is that when I get in that mindset of I'm gonna do it tomorrow, it doesn't get done. And so what this is like that motivation because I'm getting to the point where I'm more inner self-sufficient and able to use like my inner voice. But for me, sometimes I like need not recognition, but I need to be reminded that what I'm doing is important
Right.
and that people, because I've had people share things with me about like my content helping them in some way, and it just blows my mind because I'm just a person in Louisiana with arthritis. And it's like to think like for me, this was something that I just like to do. And there's someone out there who it's helping is just child, I'm trying not to cry. I really am.
I
Like
think
I'm
we all think we're alone in our experiences. So it's
mhm,
heartwarming when you realize, oh wow, there's someone else, that sees things the way I do or watches something that I do or connects to something the way I do. So you like our little our friend in our head, like period. I thought the same
mhm,
thing about Cole and I thought the same thing about because like it's a small niche of us that
yeah,
are about this like this. So
yeah.
but I'm excited to see your new content though, babe. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Thank you. I some of it I've already started like the come on air balloon. Thank
Okay,
you,
I don't know
JD.
I don't know who JD is, but JD's taking care of you. Okay.
Baby, JD is one of my besties. JD, I feel like I don't want to start naming people because then somebody is gonna be like, you forgot me, and little do they know that I don't remember if I ate this morning. And so it's not that I forgot them, it's just that I am in an emotional state, and if I start naming names, I'm gonna forget somebody. Um, Especially like as our community has been growing. Because I'm gonna tell you what, if it had been like this time last year, I could have probably named like 3 people, and those are the people that like came and watched me all the time. And now it's like it's so many people, and I just mm,
That makes me happy that you're experiencing this. I love it.
thank you. I'm a computer.
Oh, JD, ask JD what he want to talk. He or she wants to talk about. He, she,
Baby, I
they,
was gonna
them.
say, listen,
Let,
listen, because
let me let me get on off of here. JD,
let
what
me
you want to talk about?
so let me say this for the record, because I do want this on the record that I said this, because I don't want him to come on here and try to play me. Freddie, that's sending me all the roses, Jordan has truly was like there, like back when I was just like tweeting stuff out and hoping people laughed. Like Freddie was there, and Freddie actually gave me an opportunity to speak on his show that he has, and I'm not sure if you're still doing it. If you are, then please feel free to put it in the chat so that everyone knows where to go listen to it. But let me come on there, and that was one of the first times where I felt like maybe my opinion really is important to somebody. And it was like, because the first thing that we talked about was my Ratchet Charmed videos, because that was what kind of got me like in people's like view, because I used to do the Ratchet Charm video. Well, I mean, I say used to, I still do the Ratchet Charm videos. I just haven't
Right.
done that regularly because they kind of take a little while to do, because I have to do the voiceover, and I have to do the voiceover, so I have to come up with what I'm gonna say, and I have to do stuff, so it's a little involved process. And so sometimes I can get them out pretty quick, but I want them to be of quality. Like, that's why I don't just churn them out. And so Freddie was like asking me questions about it and stuff like that, and how I got into it, and it really did like give me the opportunity to practice how I want to share things with people, and it gave me the practice to kind of articulate my thoughts. And I think it was one of the first times that I was able to say like, this is what I want to do, but I was still scared to pursue it. And I think now I'm at a place where I'm willing and open and hungry to pursue it. And I thank him, and I do want to say that, like, I'm joking with him because we're friends, but I wanted to take a moment to really acknowledge the role that he has played in everything. Like, so
Aw.
yeah,
Don't get to crying, friend.
I'm not. I'm not. Even though I know he's gonna text me later on, and I'm gonna block him. Thank you, Jerry.
Well, I'm gonna get off of here. I'm gonna be listening. I'm gonna be listening for your Leo talks. And honestly, I really want to hear about because I have a serious obsession with the Phoebe and Cole saga. Like I start from a lot of times I start from season 4, episode 1, when Piper was calling for Prue, and Phoebe was like, "Girl, like she did." And I usually start from there, and I watch that season over and over. But I want to hear, do you think, because I was thinking about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they ever did like a reboot or like a remake, or like how they brought like Best Man back and did like that whole little thing to show where everybody, you think there would be a way to bring Cole back into the mix, being that they vanquished him?
I do think so, because magic is this thing. And so I do think there will be a way to bring him back. Thank you, JD. I do think there would be a way to bring him back. I don't know what that way would be, but I think it would have to take some dark magic. Like, I don't think that the Charmed ones would be the one to bring him back. I think it would probably be an evil entity that would bring him
Mm.
back to try to get to them.
Cause you know what I was
And
also
yeah.
thinking? Because he was so old, but he wasn't aging, but now he's older, how would you bring that into the show, you know?
Well, I think that they would run into that same issue with Prue. And I think that you can work it into
Oh.
the story. I think you could work it into the story actually. And you really, if we're being 100% honest, you could get away with it with Graham's, Patty, and Prue. And I'm gonna tell you how. You could go to an alternate dimension, and in this alternate dimension, everybody is alive. Like
Come
Grams is
on, alternate.
alive.
Come on, alternate dimension. Okay.
Yes, because I think that's the way to. I think that kind of story would need to be told through Piper, because I think it would be really important to show that like Piper has moved on and she has a family now and she has a life and she. Did I say alternate dimension? I meant timeline, alternate timeline. I always get these words mixed up. Um, but I think that you could have Piper go to like an alternate timeline where all of them are alive and Piper is taken aback because she's seeing them old. You know, she's seeing
Mm.
them like her mother is not 28. Her grandmother is not whatever age she was well before she started getting perms and, you know, blowouts. And
Not the fresh doobie child.
before Graham started getting blowouts.
Child. Not
But
going
you
to the
know,
Dominicans, baby.
Grams was wherever she was, up, down, over, wherever she was at. Grams was cutting up. But I think you could do that and then have her be so taken aback by Prue being older than her again. She's not older than Prue was anymore. Because I think even as a fan, there are times where it hits me that I'm now older than like I think even Phoebe was when the show ended. So
Yes.
yeah, like Phoebe was only like 31 when the show ended. I'm now 32. So I am older than she was, you know, and it's like to watch that as a viewer and know that I've moved past the point that they were in life reminds me sometimes that like this was a fixed point in my life when I was like obsessed with this show and I was a kid and they were adults and you know I was like, oh, this is grown up drama, you know, whatever else. And you get I get to now where I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I was stupid when I was young like that. You know, when I was that age, I was doing the same thing. And it takes me a moment to realize like, oh my god, I am watching these women at an age that I've already been. And I think for Piper, seeing Prue at an age, now am I saying that they would specifically say this? No. But I'm saying as a viewer, like Piper being taken aback because she remembers that she remembers Prue being 30 when she passed, you know? And so 30-year-old Prue is now 50-year-old Prue. And
Mm.
it's like her mind wouldn't even be able to comprehend that because she's been gone for so long. And so you can get that. And I think in this reality, you could even have Cole be human and maybe he gave up his demon side so he could be with Phoebe. And so
Period.
yeah, I think that that's how you can incorporate them into the show. And you can have Phoebe be with Cole, and you could even still have them have moved off to have a normal life. And Piper's like looking like, how did we make this? Where is Paige? And then like Prue is looking like, who? Because in this timeline, do think it would be important that Paige not be there necessarily because
Not get rid of Paige.
not I'm talking about when she goes
Okay.
because I think it will be important for Piper to have to face if we're, you know, going through her, you know, lens, I think it would be important for her to have to face like, this is what this reality is. Like, I know Piper is still, I mean, Paige is still alive, and we're going to eventually find Paige.
Right.
But I think in this reality, this could be Piper reconciling that Paige was a part of her life and understand. Who said, why you hating? Girl. Anyway,
People just be talking.
they be talking. They don't know. I don't even know what they're talking about, but they talking about something. Anyway, and so it would be very intentional that Paige isn't there because, you know, even Piper has said, um, Piper has said that Paige is the one that brought their family back together. So she can't just pretend like she doesn't know her or she doesn't know she exists. And then Grams and Patty kind of looking at each other like, how do you know about that? You know, whatever else. And then it's bringing up all these old wounds. Now, am I saying that that should be the whole show? No, but I think that it would be interesting for Piper to go there and then have to come back
Right.
and have to go back to the reality where her family is not there, to go back to the reality where Prue is gone again. And even though she has Paige, it's like that push and pull of, do I want to be with Paige or do I want to be in a reality where Prue is still here? And watching her choose is gonna be heart wrenching, you know, as a viewer, because you don't want her to choose, and I don't want them to be in a position to choose. But that episode could be an extension of Brain Drain, where Piper can't live in this alternate timeline. She
Right.
can't live here. She can't stay here. This is not her time. This is not where she belongs. And I don't think it's about giving up Prue. I think it's about her being allowed to finally definitively move to a different phase where she has accepted fully that Prue is gone and that this is her reality. And you know, you could kind of get into that part where it's like, okay, well, we've been there, done that, we moved on, but I don't think people understand how grief works sometimes.
Yeah.
And they think that time just makes it better and like, oh, well, 20 years have passed. She should be okay. But sometimes you're not.
Right.
Sometimes 20 years passes and I'm going to accept Mike, by the way. 20 years passes and you still smell something at a store and it reminds you of that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think it would be important for Piper to go through that.
I just need to know Cole's okay, honestly, because they did Cole so dirty. Like, Cole, poor Cole was just trying to. He saved everybody, and they was like, "Well, you got to get Vanquish." Like, damn, I saved y'all.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get y'all. Oh, okay. I like. Let me tell you why I'm putting this here, because the way people be up in here.
Let me show my face too.
Yeah, please do. Because the way people be up in here telling me that I need to show Prue, I just want them to know. See, Prue is. Oh, look at you, baby. You serving us space, ain't it? Baby, now we got the Fine Brigade on tonight. Look at y'all. Look at y'all.
So silly, Galen.
So what you're talking about, I meant to talk about this last night, but we were so ADHD that I forgot. But
Don't bring that up. Listen, y'all. Okay, so y'all weren't there, and I heard some things that you know what I'm talking about.
oh, about
About the ghost.
oh, that no.
Yeah, I didn't know if that's what you meant, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because that's not my story to tell. I'm just gonna say that I was taken aback. But anyway, go ahead with what you were saying.
No, so what we didn't end up talking about was like one of my favorite Buffy episodes was actually on Angel, where it was the episode of Angel where I Will Remember You, where it ends up becoming an alternate timeline where
Angel is human, or he?
yeah, and
Yes,
and
yes.
we get everything we've ever wanted with Buffy and Angel, only for it in the last 5 minutes to be undone.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so like what you're talking about
I would
kind of,
take that with a Charmed episode, honestly. I would take
oh,
that. If they just
for
gave me
sure.
that,
Oh
I
my
would be
God.
very happy with it.
Like I know that it's an Angel episode, but it's my favorite Buffy. It's I think probably it's definitely the saddest Buffy episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like episode with Buffy in it,
Yeah.
because it is everything we've ever wanted, and then it's ripped away from us. And
Mm-hmm.
so what you're talking about with Piper going to that reality and then having to live without that when she goes back to her regular reality, that's like, oh, that's heartbreak. That is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Definitely. And that's what I think, especially why I think Piper would need to be the one to go through it, because I've said this multiple times and I absolutely still mean it. Phoebe to me is the heart of the show as a show, but Piper is the heart of the family. And
Why do you
they,
think Phoebe's the
You
heart of
think
the show?
Phoebe was the heart of the show,
I
friend?
do think Phoebe was the heart of the show, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I mean the show as Charmed. I don't mean like the Hallowell family or the sister group. I mean like the show of Charmed. Because I think with Phoebe being so young initially, I do think that we see a lot of it through her POV. And when you go back and watch it, we learn a lot of the lessons through her. Like she's the first one that we learn about personal gain through, with her getting the premonition about the lottery ticket. So
She gets, she's the one that finds the book.
she's the one. Yeah, I mean, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like
True.
she finds a book, but even like past that, once we actually get into being witches, she's the one who, like I said, we start learning about personal gain through. I think she's one of the first ones that we really start to see how magic and relationships can intertwine because of Clay coming back. And even though he is not necessarily trying to use her for magic, he's like, Phoebe, I'm in trouble. And she's like one of the first ones that we see in that dilemma of what do I do, because these two worlds are intersecting. Baby,
Okay, Mike, I see you.
okay, I was gonna say, I was like, baby,
So
listen,
I
you can
I,
keep
I
crying if
would
you want to.
I
But
would
yeah, somebody says she's the one who saved, says the first spell. She's the first one whose power saves an innocent. She's the
she
first
embraces it.
one who, like even in Wedding from Hell, she is the one who is telling, she realizes how Piper's power works, and she's like, you need to be closer to what you're trying to freeze. And she's observant with little things like that Piper didn't even pay attention to, because she was scared for her life, because back at this point Piper was not having it. And so Phoebe is the first one who we see make like a big life choice to even come back. Like she's coming back to her childhood home knowing that she has this um uh intense relationship with Prue. We see her going back to school. We see her navigating her relationship with Prue. And even the way Prue seems kind of judgmental in season one, I feel like it's seen kind of through Phoebe's eyes, because yeah, we get POV from Prue. But uh,
I I feel like it was worse. Like I feel like that was hyped up more than Prue. Like I don't think Prue was actually as bad as she has been hyped up to be.
What do you
no,
mean?
she wasn't.
What do you mean
But
as
that's
bad?
what I mean. I don't think she was that bad. I think Prue was just at a
Like
different developmental stage than
What
Phoebe.
what do
and,
y'all
and
mean
she
by
also had to
as
be
bad?
well because like they like Prue kind of had a reputation like with fans. I think when the show was going on, that she was the uptight, like wound too tight, and they really played into that. And there were episodes that she was, but I just did a rewatch a couple months ago, and as an adult watching it, like I felt like it was kind of reasonable. Like
Of course.
there was never a time when I watched Prue as an adult
Mhm.
and thought like she's being unreasonable.
Right. But also
And
sis had to take care of everybody. Like so it's like
exactly.
Mhm.
she didn't have the luxury of like being like Phoebe and running to New York and like popping coochie every which way and like like
Yeah. I would also I
uh,
so yeah.
she didn't have the luxury. She had to look out for everybody. So I think that's an unfair, to put on somebody that had so much responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
and
I do understand what you're saying, Galen, because you're right. Now that you explain the Phoebe thing, she was responsible for pushing the story forward often. Like, if it wasn't for her after Prue died, like, between her and Cole was working like the rent was due, honey. Between them two, they were pushing that story forward.
I to piggyback off of what you were saying about Phoebe being the heart of the show, I think another aspect of this is that and this is going to be so controversial. People are going to hate me for saying this,
Oh, I'm
but
scared.
I think that Phoebe and I have my receipts, I have reasons, but I think that Phoebe was actually the true love of Piper's life.
Definitely. I mean,
You
because
think?
Yeah.
I think it was Prue and Phoebe at a certain point, but Phoebe she clung to in a way she was gonna choose her. I think she would have chosen her over Leo. I think probably the only two
Oh,
people that she would not have chosen Phoebe over would be Wyatt and Chris. The only two living people.
so I think, well, I don't even know about that. I because and the reason no, that's why I think this is a little controversial because like and I had to think a lot about this because I was in the Supernatural fandom and there's a lot of people like shipping the brothers. Um
Okay,
and
are you saying that you think she's the
no.
love of her life, like
No, no, no,
platonic?
no, no. No. I
Okay,
mean, yeah,
okay,
platonic, yes. But
okay.
like what I mean is that in trying to explain why it's not Wincest and it's just a sibling's love for another and how it can be especially if it's older to younger, how it
Mhm.
can be somewhat undying love. Um uh a lot of fans I don't know understand that like an older sibling's love for their younger sibling, and maybe if they don't understand that they could romanticize that, which is gross. but
Mhm.
but in my head I'm thinking, well, Piper always demonstrated that undying love for Phoebe in a way that like I mean she demonstrated it for baby Wyatt, which is normal, which is a normal thing for moms to do, but like I feel like I think we loved Phoebe more because Piper loved Phoebe. I think Phoebe was really hard for me at least, I should just say for me. For me, Phoebe was really hard for me to get behind for a while when she got so damn messy. Uh, but like, and I felt like I was loving Phoebe because Piper was loving Phoebe. And the amount of times that Piper would abandon is a strong word, but like Phoebe went to Hong Kong. Piper would never go to Hong Kong and leave Phoebe behind, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
like and so and even when that there's a brilliant episode when Prue was still alive where the genie made her young, and it was sort of like the Piper that we saw in that episode. This Holly Marie Combs is fucking amazing,
Yes.
because the Piper that we saw in that episode was the Piper we got once Paige came. Like like I watched that episode the other day with the genie where Prue became a teenager again,
Mm-hmm. I
and
did. I watched
and
it.
Piper was big sister in a way that she was never with Prue. And like she just knows how to be big sister, and there's a very special specific kind of love for like older siblings, and I feel like you're right. I think Phoebe is the heart of the show, but I think and to contrast Piper and Paige, Piper was more of like a I mean she was a sister but not like like she didn't parentify.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'll accept it. I know what you mean.
But
Yeah.
like but she more mentored. She was more like a she more was like a mentor to Paige, where there was like she was able to have fun with Paige that she couldn't have with Phoebe. Phoebe
Piper.
was precious. Paige was I'm gonna let her explode. Like, do you know what I mean? Like
I
I'm gonna let
also
her
feel like she had a hard time accepting Paige because she just lost Prue, so it
sure.
was really hard for her to accept. Like, do y'all remember when like they were trying to teach her Paige about her powers, and they
Yeah.
were like, "I guess the white light of her makes it work differently, and then Piper was over there like half breed, like
Yeah.
girl, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Piper was kind of like, I guess we can have her. Like, what choice do we have?
Yeah.
I think that this is one of those moments where like the perspective of Phoebe informs I think the thought process behind it a little more, because when I watch it even now I identify a lot with Phoebe, like just trying to figure out your way through life and just trying to like see where you fit in places. And even though I'm not one of those people that's just gonna venture out into the world like Phoebe did, um I think that that's what makes her the most relatable to people, is like that fun and that whimsy that she had. And although I do see what you mean about it going through Piper, I do think we see a different side of Piper come out when it's just the two of them together. Because one time when I watched Bride and Gloom, I realized like Piper was taking the lead that episode. Like when Prue was gone, Piper was really taking the lead. And like,
Which one's that one?
that's the one where they turn into warlocks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like, you know, even though there are some instances like when Phoebe, when Cole comes to Phoebe and then she's in there and then Piper's like, I heard voices. And it's like, it's like, well, yeah, because
She said it though. That's why I'm laughing. That is just
and she like the whole time, and it's so funny because like the whole time she's got like this pretty little blue blouse on and she's got her hands up and whatever, and there's little moments like that. But then you look at the scene where they're torturing Dantalian, right? And Phoebe is just the muscle. Phoebe is purely the muscle. Piper is the one who was like, we're gonna get this information out of her. You step on her foot on her arm. I'm gonna do like. She's the one who tells Phoebe to smash Leo. She's the one when Phoebe is kind of going off the rails and like, oh, we should go, take out some innocents. And Piper's like, no, we need to focus on this because this is and you see,
it's still, the dynamic is still there.
Yeah, like she definitely moves into a different role, and that's why I say like, for me, Phoebe is the heart, is because she does bring out a different dynamic in everybody. Like to me anyway, like for Prue, she sees Prue as a hard ass. And so that's how we see Prue. And as their relationship starts to soften, we see a different side of Prue. So am I saying that the show is through Phoebe's perspective? Yes, kind of. But also as the characters evolve, we're seeing how their relationship to Phoebe changes. And even in season 3, when Prue is kind of like amped up, super witch, doing this, doing that, she's taking the lead, she blah, 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 blah. That's because Phoebe is kind of taking a back seat because she's focusing on school, she's focusing on Cole, she's focusing on graduating. And so from her perspective, she's living her life. Prue is taking the helm on that. Now, again, I know I may be reaching just a little bit, but that's what I mean when I say like, even with when Paige gets there, as we start learning more about Paige, she's very independent. She's doing her own thing. And as her and Paige start to get closer, her and Paige have more of like a friend relationship to me, like a very strong friend relationship versus necessarily a sister. But I think they had sister moments, but I think they were more friends than anything else, especially because they were around the same age. And Phoebe never really had anyone around her same age. And that's where, again, that dynamic with Piper comes in. Because like you're saying, Piper can be the older sister, but then there are some times where like Phoebe allows Piper to be a little more kind of loosey-goosey. So I'm thinking about like Witch Trial. And when they're out there and Phoebe's like, Phoebe's all excited to get naked and be like, we're finna commune with nature and my coochie's finna touch this rock and then we're just gonna live our best life. And Piper is like, Piper is like, if you think that I am about to take these clothes from the Gap off and I'm finna stand around these people naked, you are out of your mind.
Not from the Gap, child. Okay.
Because Piper goes to the Gap.
Of course. Piper goes to the Gap, Old Navy, all of that. You already know. But what I will
Prue goes to Banana Republic, and then
but how they wrote Phoebe's character though it gave them room for her to push the story forward because everybody else was kind of like in a box.
Yeah.
Outside of like Phoebe's character, Paige kind of when she showed up kind of gave a little bit more she could give. Like that's how Glenn showed up and just learned they were a witch. But like up until that point, Phoebe was the only like wild card of the show because Piper was like, no, we can't do this, and Prue was always like, no, and Phoebe was like, well, I'm gonna go date a demon, so I don't know what y'all talking about, but like,
I think
like,
Phoebe was always the wild card though.
always.
Because even Paige, even though she was younger, Paige grew up as like an only child, so she was like survivalist. I think Paige had a maturity to her that none of them needed to have except for Prue, because they had Prue. And then Piper had it because she was just more grounded and earthy. But I think there was never a time where, unless it was, I forget what the episode is called, but it's the one where Paige and the boobs,
Hell,
where like
Yes.
yeah, where
Yes.
Phoebe had to sort of take big sister vibes. Like she could step in the role when she wanted to, but but I think Phoebe was always the wild card. It was even and Phoebe was even that was even picked up on with Billy and Chrissy when Chrissy was trying to sort of manipulate everybody. They went to the wild card and sort of like tried to plea for
It
like
was hard for
they
me to
were
watch Billy and Chris. It was hard for me to watch that. I'm not gonna lie. I was choking down those episodes because I just couldn't like I watched it because obviously I'm a fan of the show, so I had to watch it. But that was a tough era. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was hard.
it was icky. Like it gave me the ick.
It was
like
cringe. It was very cringe. It felt
yeah.
forced. It felt a little cheesy at times.
And
But
also, I'm sorry, but it's not because I dislike Christy, but Piper had it right when she blew her up.
yeah, that was but you know what I didn't
Like,
understand about Paige because Galen said something earlier. So Paige was always like bordering on like trying to make it her job. But Paige for the time had her little fire loft apartment, it looked like her little cute apartment. She had her little
she
punch
did.
buggy. Since they looked like she was struggling now. No, because in 2000 the little punch buggies was something. Those was little cute
Yeah,
cars for
that
the
little lime
girls.
green,
So
that little lime green
yeah, so
manual, and she
I'm
was
like,
driving stick
girl,
with lime green
she
stick.
sure was. She was driving
yeah.
around San Francisco driving a stick.
And San
Yeah,
And
Francisco's not cheap. So I was trying to figure out how my girl was just living
as
with her
a
little tech
as a
job.
well,
as
and
a no, it wasn't a temp job. It was work. It was a social worker with
She
the
wasn't even a
I
social
always
worker
thought it
yet
was
in
a
the beginning.
social
She was trying
worker
to get
assistant.
promoted.
right.
I
That's
think she
right.
was a social worker, like assistant, because remember in season 5 when she
Yes.
got promoted to social worker?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like,
And mom was
but I never really
living.
understood that because it was like a tiered thing. But anyway, I don't know. See,
So
things work
so
different in different states. So
the thing that drove me the most crazy about Paige, because I do love Paige, but the whole thing, like as soon as she got what she wanted, she gave it up every time. Like
Yes.
okay, so let me say this to that because I think that giving up her job as a social worker was a very important turning point for her because it wasn't necessarily just that she gave it up. I think she realized like magic got me to this place and magic is what got the job. And I think she wanted to be able to prove that she could do it, if that makes any sense, because
it does, but so stupid. Like just
it's
magic get you the
stupid, but I
job.
think it fits the character of Paige because she's very headstrong. She's very determined to prove herself and her worth. And I think that especially stepping into magic and being so new to it, she wanted to prove to herself like I'm more than this. But she also wanted to say like, okay, if magic is gonna do this for me, then I'm gonna give magic my 100% to see how good I am at it. And again, it's a little extra, but I
No
do
one else had to
think
do that.
no one else did it. But see, that's the thing that makes Paige unique is Paige was willing to try something not unique because I feel like Phoebe probably could do the same thing, but Paige chose to walk away because okay, I got this new destiny, and instead of trying to split my time between the new destiny and then this, I think she just made a choice and said, I'm gonna stick with it. And that's very Paige. Paige is very like headstrong. She's a little Prue essentially. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna show you that I can. And I kind of appreciate the fact that she did it because
She's Prue without the responsibility of little sisters.
But what annoyed me though, if I was Piper, I'd been so annoyed because it just felt like everybody was always falling back on P3. Like, girl, can I have my little coin to myself every once in a while?
Right?
Every time somebody wanted to go do something, it was like, oh well, we'll just depend on P3 to hold it down. Like,
At least
baby.
Prue bartended. at least Prue put in the work. Prue bartended there.
Right.
Like,
yeah. At least by then Phoebe was working at the column, so she had a little something coming in, but it wasn't a whole bunch.
she got that Mini Cooper
Well, one
real.
time she
real
didn't have
quick.
no job either, and it was all about P3. Like, I remember the one episode when like what was the demon that Cole had them all fight and they lost the power of 3? But like,
Andrews.
remember like was that when Piper was like, oh Andress, when she was talking about like, oh I don't think it was that episode, but she was like something about how I have to make sure I keep the club up because it's paying all the bills or something like that.
Oh, that was in season 4. That was in season 4 when she was like, because we're a one income household now, and
it was like 5-6 people living in that house, and she talking about we are one income household. Somebody go to work and help the girl. Like, what is going on?
I know. Then Phoebe was like, well, I can get a job. And she was like, Phoebe, you've never had a job a day in your life. And I was like, oh my God, why is Phoebe catching these strays? I was like, why is Phoebe? But to bring up the episode that you're talking about, Power Outage, I swear to God, I always laugh because Holly sometimes seemed like maybe she would forget a line or something and just not care because she was but it was funny the way she did that. She was like, oh sure, you're such an amateur brat, you run away every time, you can't hack something. And I was like, why is she sounding these words out? What is happening right now? And then in season 8 when she's talking to the elder and the avatar, there's this moment where Holly is like, you listen to me. Leo has worked for both of them. And I was like, did the ticket freeze or something? Like, what happened?
Sis called line. You know, sis called line, and they had to put that back in. Sis was like, what's the next line?
That was probably like the 5th take. And she was like, I think I remember that. And I'm just going to say that this is what they said to say. And if it's not, I'm not doing this scene again. Because she just stands there. She's like, you listen to me. Leo has worked for me. And I was like, okay, what am I listening to? What do you want me to hear? Because you're telling me to listen, but I'm not hearing what you're saying. Like, I need you to speak up.
Somebody said P3 is a single mom who worked 2 jobs. A single mom who worked 2 jobs.
It never stops with gentlemen in the heart of a fighter. Doom, 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 doom. I'm a survivor.
No,
we
I'm
stand
dead.
Reba in this household. We stand Reba.
Period.
Yeah.
Listen, and then oh my God. Okay, speaking of songs, I know this is very random, and I'm not asking anybody to get in on this moment with me because it's such a random moment that probably was not funny. But I remember as a kid, like laughing, and I don't remember why. So. You know, when they're going into Prue's funeral and they're playing this song, I just found out the name of the song was actually A Bell, a Book, and a Candle. And the woman's like...
You're making me laugh. I don't even know what you're going to say, but you're making me laugh.
I thought upon a troubled wing. I don't know what word she's saying. And then at a certain point, I think it's when like I can't remember what point it was in the ceremony, and the lady singing is like a bell, a book, and a candle. And I remember laughing so hard because I'm like, a what? A bell, a book, and a candle. And then you got like the woman who's like, she puts the rope in there and she puts her hands over it.
Oh yeah.
And then she starts blowing out the candles, just like. And then we get to the third one and she's like, and it just goes, and then you see Holly go.
That part killed me. Yeah.
Yeah, there were so many moments. There was a few moments that were hard to watch. That part was funny.
I meant Alyssa. Alyssa goes.
That part killed me.
And then you pan to Holly and she's over there on whoever it was. She's like. And it's like the scene should not be as funny as it is, but I think it's the background music. I pass
Yeah.
on a troubled way. Is like the music was iconic to me. She's like, gonna candle, and I was like, oh okay. It was giving very mamas and papas. And I was like, okay, we are sending Prudence off in style, and then we just have a triquetra on the program. She's like, they're just like, let's put a triquetra up here, and they're like, Prudence, she was great, and then that's it, and then they were like, here, take it. We're not doing all that extra.
So you know what kind of caught my like perked me up, or not perked me up, but like caught my ear when I heard Holly Marie Combs talk about in the how everything went down. It was only because like she was resistant to coming back, that they sort of gave her time to sort of process Prue's departure. All of that grief that we needed to see was sort of just to placate Holly, which means that they weren't planning on like what a bad choice. Sorry, just dropped my phone. What a bad choice to like not consider like giving the space of grief about Prue.
Well, I think you can kind of see that reflected a little bit in Phoebe because, I joke a lot about it, but that actually makes sense because I will forever, like the scene that everybody's like, well, Phoebe did break down about the pissy jacket. And she's like, do you remember when the cat peed on Prue's jacket? And I told her it was you.
No.
She never knew. And I
It
was
gave
like,
sis
girl.
don't give a damn. It gave sis don't give a damn.
But the part that always gets me about that scene every single time, and I will tell I will say it a million times until I'm blue in the face. She's crying and she's like, and then Piper gives her the tissue and she's like, thank you. And I was like, girl, please just stop it. And then after all of this, she gets up and she's like, how are we supposed to stop the source without her? That's what
Like,
we're
girl, that's your whole sister, my girl. Like,
not, I'm just my sister. She's just like, how are we gonna stop the source?
Well, to be fair though, like they're dealing with death and they know that the source is coming to kill them. So like it's not just about like it's about like I can headcanon that in her defense because like Prue meant safety for both of them.
Okay, yeah, that makes
And
sense.
so like so I think one of the things that they didn't really lean into that I would have liked to was how much Prue's presence like made them feel safe. Like they were like I mean they talked about being sitting ducks, but like they really were in so many ways. Like their safety was gone. Even though Piper had the more aggressive power at that point, like it was still like Prue's presence was
Switching
like
it out real quick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that we're switching it out real quick. Go ahead.
yeah, like Prue's presence was like Piper had to be that.
right. But to piggyback off what Galen's, as someone that watched the show and kind of knew the behind the scenes what was going on, though, watching that scene that he was just talking about, I was watching like, girl.
Right.
I watched that scene.
Even though everything you're saying makes sense, Mike, but knowing what the backstory was, I was looking at her now, like now, Phoebe.
Yeah, I just watched.
I never knew any of that.
I
when
feel the
first
same
watched
way.
it, because I was watching the show as it was airing, and so I was like 10,
Right.
and I didn't know any of that. So to me, I was like, why is she saying thank you for a tissue in the middle of crying? It was like random little acting choices like that for me, and then the scene. I promise you that people go up for it, and I'm not saying it's not a good scene because I do think it is. The scene with her in the crypt as the Fury is one of the funniest scenes to me. One of the like campiest scenes, like unintentionally campiest scenes, because Rose, bless her heart, is like, when my parents died, I was alone and I hated them. It is okay to hate Prue. And then Piper now Holly was given with that scream, and then she gets over there and she's like, and she's like beating the thing, and she's like doing it, and then she gets down on the floor and she's like, "That's not a game. She runs her life every day. She never thought about what would happen to me and me being without her. How can I live without her?" And like Leo is like. Leo, who is a white lighter, who is supposed to be like this comforting presence, is like, it's okay. He's like, it's okay. And she's like, no, no. And it's like, it wasn't, is it camp? No, I'm saying for me, it was unintentionally funny because I pay too much attention to certain things and I made something funny that was not supposed to be. And so she was like,
now that we know all the tea, right? So now that we know all the tea, when I watch this show and I think about like what it must have been like for Shannon Doherty, knowing like she has beef with this girl, and now that she has to watch this girl kiss her man every day, like baby, I would have quite the time.
well, the way they describe it was giving me a little bit of Destiny's Child. Like we turned on MTV one day, and then there's other people dancing to our voices. It was giving me a little bit of that, and I don't, not completely obviously, but it was like that. It was like.
Here we like so I thought that I was up to date on all of my charm stuff, but like because I knew about Alyssa and Brian. I didn't know about uh Shannon and
Julian, yes,
I didn't know that until the podcast. How
there was this scene.
I knew about it from
like
the cowboy scene, the western
Well,
scene.
and you could tell he
So
kind of
here's
wanted
the thing, though.
to like break her back.
Yes,
But
baby, it
then
was
there's like
sexual
this
tension.
I always felt like it was petty, and I don't like talking about behind the scenes stuff sometimes, but
Yeah.
I will say that I felt like it was petty when Alyssa, there was like this interview they were doing, like the Women of Charmed or whatever, and Alyssa's like, I get to kiss Julian today, and I was like, you're doing too much, ma'am. Like you're cutting up at this point. Like you are doing a lot. Like come on. Let's not. If I find the video, I will definitely send it to you.
No,
It
I've
was
seen it. I've seen it when I've seen that. Oh my god,
okay.
it's on. You can find it on YouTube.
No.
That's messed up.
Yeah, yeah. That's what always made that scene so. I mean that moment so petty because it was like. And then somebody, I think it was Holly maybe that was like, I think she's got a little crush on him or something like that. I don't remember. Do you remember that part? I think I may be making it up. Now I feel like I'm gaslighting everybody.
Wait,
Okay.
hold on, Julian?
Who?
Who? Holly had a crush on Julian? On
No,
Cole?
they were saying that Alyssa, they think, had a little crush on him. But I can't remember who it was that said it.
Cole was fine now. Like I mean,
Listen,
like
I
I
am
mean,
not a
I would
huge
hit it,
Cole
but
was
like,
tea, okay?
I'm not a
Cole was
huge fan of
tea.
like men with hairy chests because I'm in my heterosexual era right now.
Okay,
And so
hetero.
very hetero, very. And I'm not a huge fan of like men with hairy chests, but there's something about like him and the way his chest was and them shoulders, and when he would like,
shoulder. He's the twink.
girl, who
He's the twink.
you Cole Julian at that point?
Well, I mean, listen, I would take Balthazar, demon form Balthazar.
I would
Give
take
me some
both
of
of
that.
them on at the same time, really,
No,
because
Cole was tea to me, honey. Like
when
I'm
she
not.
started, when she
I
started
mean,
kicking him,
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no.
he was
Um,
very fine. When she started kicking him with them titties out, and she was like, "I want Balthazar." I was like, "Girl, me too." I
Yes.
was like, "Girl, me too." A girl, me too. She was like, "The human side of you is getting a little preachy." I was like, "Oh," I said, "Baby, we are in our evil era right
No,
now."
Yeah.
one of my favorite Cole episodes was when he came back after they had him like under, I forgot which demon had him under, when he went undercover with the Brotherhood, and when he finally came back and she was in the mirror and she was like, promise me when I turn around you'll still be there, and he like walks up on her. I'm like,
Okay.
period. Okay,
Which is
Zaddy.
weird
Okay.
because isn't that what Piper told Patty when she was like, when Patty came in the mirror and Patty was like, "Oh, you look so beautiful." And I was like, "You haven't seen your daughter in forever, and this is what you say?" And she's like, are you real? Or whatever she said. What did she say? She was like, just tell me you're real, or when I turn around, you're still gonna be, or whatever she said. And then she turns around, and then like Pat, this is not funny at all. I'm telling you, like there's little stuff that's funny to me that shouldn't be. And she's like, I think I wore my hair like this at my wedding.
Yeah.
And I was like, you did. I used to
I
watch it
watch it like a bedtime story. I used to read it like a bedtime story.
and I was like, you.
Also, you know what took me out of that episode though? Like how like Patty shows up for her wedding and Phoebe and Prue are just like, "Hi, Mom."
Listen.
No, Phoebe was the most ridiculous one because Phoebe was like, I used to just wish you would hold me. Like, girl, that's all you. That's all you got to say.
Like she didn't want to be there that day. And she's like, some nights I just wanted you to hold me. Holly was the only one putting in work in that scene because the whole time she's like when she has her hands on her hips and she's like, yeah, she's really real. The elder sent her to us, and Prue was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And Alyssa's like,
yeah, girl,
my hot pocket is
confession
burning.
time. All right, confession time. No hate to Patty. Like I don't hate Patty at all. I like Patty. Like there's nothing. I don't have any issue with Patty. I can't ever see Patty fighting a demon.
Well, because the only time we did see her fight a demon, she got unalived. Here's the thing: is if you
that was so messy of you to say.
I'm just saying, like the only time we ever see Patty go up against a demon, it is literally the last time she ever goes up against a demon.
There was 2 times ever that I saw her use her power, and she struggled. I mean, Piper was just like. Like I loved her movements that she chose to do, how to freeze and blow things up. With Patty, like at the dock, and then at the last episode when they showed up in the sex, when she was having sex, like she was like,
let me have this moment. Please let me have this moment because at least she tried in the dock scene. She was like, and then she turns around and she's like, oh, and I was like, okay, that was a bit much, but okay, I'll take it. In the scene where Piper and Leo show up and like Victor just pulled out, she sits up in the bed and she sits up in the bed, and I'm like, Patty, if this was a real demon, you would literally have been taken out by now. She sits up in the bed, she covers her tits. She's like, demons. Let me find my robe really quick. I'm sorry.
Also,
like, why didn't they freeze? And she, instead of like trying to figure something out, Patty's like, I don't know. And she just sits there, and I'm like, are you not gonna try to do a spell? Are you don't have potions under the pillow? Like, what are we doing?
Also, are we to believe that's when Phoebe was conceived? Because wasn't she trying to get to Phoebe?
She was trying to get to Phoebe, and that was like the ultimate like part of love was when Phoebe was conceived. And I was like, that doesn't, you would think it was the day she was born, because if we're going to different people based on love, then I would have assumed that it was a moment that Piper would cherish the most with them, because that's what happened with Grams. It took her to a moment that meant the most to her. So you would think it would have done the same for Phoebe, but hey, the condom broke and we're here with Phoebe.
So wait, that's what we were. That's I've always wondered. Like that's what it was like when she was trying to get to Phoebe.
Yes,
that was the moment Phoebe was formed. Conceived. Oh my god, this is messy.
Which is kind of weird, because in my mind I was like, okay, so what if she was conceived during round 2 and this was round 1 and Piper just interrupted them? So like, what if Phoebe was never born? Like quiet as it's kept. And Patty's like,
Phoebe was dripping down Patty's thigh.
Phoebe was dripping down Patty's neck. And so like I always get tickled because Finola Hughes is hilarious, because her English accent would come out sometimes. And like I always think about when Grams is sitting there, and I love Jennifer Rose to death, but I hate the way she's like, you've got gifts, such wonderful gifts. And it's like, I'm like, girl, shut up, we get it. And then like she sends her out, she's like, now go play with your sisters. And I'm like, okay, y'all, we get it. This is when both of her sisters, we get it. Hush. And so then Graham stands up. She's like, who's there? And she's like, it's just me, Mom. And then Piper is like, oh, Mom, no.
Grams was that girl though. Quiet as it's kept though. Grams was that girl.
Oh my God, Grams would have
Never
driven
showed
me
any
nuts.
innocence in the history of that show. I love my Penelope. Penelope said, listen, I subscribe to the part of being a witch and where at harm none, do what ye will. That is the part of the program that I subscribe to. I'm not helping innocence. You can't make me help innocence. And unless something gets deposited into this bank account, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not gonna happen.
Period.
And
I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was very entertaining. If she were my Grams, oh my God.
When she was like,
Grams was fun. Grams
She kept so many secrets. There would like I'm the grandchild that would be like, you kept this? If you just said this, then all of this family drama and that family drama and that family drama, like
yes.
I would have been such a pain in the ass.
Well, I would have been summoning her from hell when I realized that she didn't write the Woogie Man spell in the Book of Shadows. That would have been the first time me and her would have come. No, she didn't. Remember, she taught it to them.
But why is that though?
Because I feel like a witch like Grams, who supposedly put all the good stuff in the book, you would think something that basic she would put in there because she knew there was a chance the Woogie Man could come back. But instead, she's got them like Prue was like, okay, what do you remember about what Grams told us? And Piper's like, something about the shadow and the light came and the shadow went away. And then Prue was like, is that all? And then Piper turns around and is like, well, what do you remember? Piper's like, girl, don't come for me like that. Piper is like, baby, I'm not playing this game with you. Either you're going to tell me what you remember or we can just call this a day and we can just figure something out. Because somebody said, why is that man's voice high like that? Because your mom is high and that's how you were conceived. And so anyway, I was like, wow. Piper really ate that woman up because like when Piper was when she turned into the Wendigo, I was so tickled at that because she was like eating them up real quick. And Prue was like laughing when she was like, help me, you can't even keep a job. And Phoebe was looking like, what? And then you got her over there like, oh, Prue was like, she got her. And then when she's like, who put you in charge? And Prue was looking like, hey, you can talk to her like that, but you won't be talking to Prudence Aloysius Elizabeth Hallowell like that. I know that. Prue said, no, ma'am. She said, Aloysius. Prudence said, stop and talk to Prudence Aloysius Elizabeth Hallowell like that. I know that much. You shit. Not in the year of our Lord 1998.
You know what? This is not random, but a little bit random. While we talking about Grams, do y'all remember? Because there was certain things that didn't add up. Do y'all remember the scene, like when Phoebe was telling Cole about Samantha, how Samantha Stevens was like her idol growing up? But I was
like, Samantha.
But then I was like, Cole kept saying Samantha, yeah. But then I was like, but I thought you didn't know you were a witch, though, right? Because she kept saying like, yeah, that was the only representation I had of a real marriage. But I was like, but I thought Grams had your powers blinded and you didn't get them until she died. Like, what's tea? Right?
I didn't take it as a witch thing. I thought it was just like a
marriage,
husband and wife thing.
Family. Because here's the thing.
Heteronormativity.
Here's the thing. I hope that there is a dimension, because there is a dimension in TV land where, you know, because witches and bewitched were immortal, Samantha and Endora are still alive and they are thriving. And I genuinely hope that they threw Darren into a volcano, because When I go back and I watch that show, I get so mad. I watched the episode of where Tabitha's powers came in, and he is like talking to Endora like a dog. And he is like, "Don't you talk about that in front of my daughter. These are her formative years, and she doesn't need to hear about any of that stuff." And I'm like, this is who they are. It's not like it's just
Right.
some,
But
it's not like they're like Dexter.
But that's what threw me off about Charm because Phoebe, y'all are saying it's the marriage aspect, but Phoebe was saying that she had an issue because Darren was telling Samantha not to use her power.
So let me stop real quick and let me address that because I have to, or I'm going to forget. He's Australian. Julian is Australian. And so when he would say certain words, you could tell that he was kind of trying to like mask it in the same way Nicole Kidman does. Because, Nicole Kidman will kind of whisper sometimes, like in Practical Magic, when she's like, oh, he's rising, Sally. And so there would be certain words that he just didn't say that often, like book. And there was the episode Bride and Gloom actually, where he's talking to Phoebe and he's like, "Were you after our book?" And he was like, "Well, I want you back." And I was like, "Ew, don't say that." And he did not say book that often. And he was like, "Well, I want you back." And I was like,
Really? And she goes,
Yeah, he
really?
did say that.
I was like,
Really?
Do you remember when he was like, the least you could do is talk to me? But he was trying, do you remember that? When he
Oh,
came back, when he
he
came
always went
back,
to
and
mobster.
when he came back, and she went to the mausoleum, and he was like, I've sacrificed a lot here coming to you. The least you could do is talk to me.
Yeah. The crazier Cole got with the powers, the more mobster he sounded, like 1950s mobster.
It was like he
He
was
did.
watching them
And
and was
his
like,
hair.
okay, it's like he was studying their accents. It's true.
Mhm.
The least you could do is talk to me. What?
Yeah. What's your favorite episode?
Hmm.
What's your favorite episodes?
Oh, I know my favorite episode, but I want to hear y'all's.
So I'm cycling between two favorite episodes. Traditionally, my favorite episode of the show has been Blinded by the White Lighter. And it actually should have been either Charmed and Dangerous or Long Live the Queen, but Blinded by the White Lighter
That's
was
my
always been my
favorite
favorite.
episode.
Yes,
Long Live
like
the Queen.
those
Long Live the Queen is my favorite episode. Even though, yeah,
Blinded by
that's
the
my
White Lighter.
Blinded by the White
Blinded-
Lighter is the one with Natalie and then Ames, who was planning to take them out, and he got the powers of those two witches. Vivian, the one with with deflection, and he took her powers, and she was like, "I can deflect your power," and then she she threw the thing back at him. And Ames was the one who unalived Natalie, stole the crossbow, and all of that, and got to the heavens. That was rejecting your deflection. That was that episode.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
with the new with the female White Lighter.
Yes, with my Nat. So
Yeah, okay.
I love that episode kind of for a more elementary reason that I love Charmed and Dangerous and Long Live the Queen. That episode felt like there was danger afoot. And I felt like that should have been at least a two-part episode. And that's one of the ones where I felt like it was really tense. But it wasn't as tense as Charmed and Dangerous because Charmed and Dangerous, he had them folks on the ropes. Like Paige was up here using magic to fix this woman's face and everything else because she didn't know this was gonna be the last thing. Like them ladies was on the ropes. That like Phoebe was going to find a potion book we ain't never heard of before. We were pulling out all the stops to try to survive this episode. So that one is tense, but something about Blinded by the White Lighter draws me in every time because it's like Ames was so dangerous and he had this grand master plan. And I mean, he shut essentially good magic down. Like White Lighters no longer had the power to orb. Leo and Nat were the only two that did have it. Like he had good magic, not just the charmed ones. He had good magic completely scared about what he was about to do next. And then Steve Valentine just played Ames so well when he's like, "Did I miss the fun? No, wait, I am the fun." Baby, I live every single time. And then when he's unalive in my Nat and he's like, and he's like, do I hear someone coming? And she looks around, she's like, ooh, ooh. And he's like, no, but I hear someone going. And then he takes, and I'm like, why are you like this, sir? Why are you doing this? And then they're like, the one part that's not funny, but it is hilarious to me at the same time is when they're like, Phoebe, what did the witch in your premonition look like? And she's like, I don't know, kind of balding. And and then the dark lighter orbs in, and she's like, something like that. And I was like, what are we doing? Why are we? What is happening?
They were doing what
Um,
they could, child.
so I'm surprised I didn't see anybody in the chat mention this episode, my favorite. And I thought more people liked this episode. Morality Bites.
Oh my god,
Which one
that
is
is a
Morality
perfect.
Bites? Which one is Morality
It
Bites?
is the
Where
most
they go into the
perfect
future.
episode, I think. I think it's the most perfect episode of Charmed ever.
Yeah.
I
Which
Yes.
episode is that? I can't remember.
it's season 2, episode 2. It's when they go back or when they go forward 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, when
And
Phoebe got
Phoebe's got that
Phoebe first
greasy
got
wig
engaged?
on, and Prue's got a dry wig on, and Holly said, "I'm
Yes,
gonna wear my own hair."
So wait,
yes.
time out. Was that a wig or did she like I didn't I could not see a wig on that
It
on
was a
her.
wig for sure.
I pray to God that that was a wig, because if it was not, then someone messed her hair up, and she should have sued.
It was I think it was a wig for her.
Like we
My
had
second
put it
favorite episode
in.
is the episode though when they try to kill Melinda, when they try to kill Melinda's baby or something like that.
Oh,
They
the
tried to
Halloween
take
episode.
Melinda
Steal
out.
Melinda's baby. They try to steal Melinda's baby.
We
That's my
watched
second
the episode one day on like a live, and we did like a watch or whatever. And Ava was eating them up. She was like, "We asked for powerful witches, not powerless frauds." And I was like, she was 2 steps away.
He
Like she
did
was
do
literally
that.
2 steps away from saying, "Red hand me down robe, must be a Weasley." Like she was hot. Mama was.
She was lesbian. She
It,
wasn't having it.
it was giving very that, and
Yeah,
like
she wasn't having anything but perfection.
yeah, like
But
she.
yeah. I with Morality Bites though, I felt like uh it was a pin like we needed that episode because it set standards that like it was protect the innocent, not punish the guilty.
Mhm.
It was for Buffy, it was the Ted episode where Buffy learns not to beat up humans.
Mhm.
um uh it was a lesson that Faith never learned, by the way.
Her.
But but in for with the Ted episode in Buffy, she carried that lesson through all like up until season 7. So like that lesson from Ted is the same thing in Charmed with Morality Bites, where with the lessons that they learned there kept
Mhm.
kept the show grounded. Like,
Mhm.
like because before that they didn't have that, and so they could have done whatever they wanted. Like they
Mhm.
needed that episode for sure.
And you
And
know
also
what I love about that episode, kind of in the long run, that episode actually kind of like set in my mind a little theory that I have, that things that are meant to happen are going to happen. You may work through it differently, but it's going to happen. And so what I mean by that is, in this future, the charmed ones are using personal gain. Like magic is just a thing that they're using now, and it has gotten Phoebe burned at the stake. And even though they were able to avoid that fate for her, they still completed use, or oh my god, they still ended up using magic for personal gain in later seasons. It wasn't to the point where it was like derailing their life, but
Right.
it was enough to where Christy was able to kind of poison Billy's mind. Do I think they were doing anything wild? No. I'm just saying it gave that little piece of an opening. And I mean, like little things, like when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna conjure you the best dress," and then they got her one from like a consignment shop in like
David
Nebraska.
Bridal.
It was
David
horrible.
Bridal.
And then like the bridesmaids' dresses were eating hers up, but that's neither here nor there. Um, but we see that happen. Like in that future, we see Piper and Leo break up. It still happens, but they get back together. Even though we don't get a chance to see Prue's story play out because my girl was gone. Um, Everything else still kind of happens in a roundabout sort of way. They still move towards personal gain, but then they move back, and I think it kind of starts. I mean, I'm I'm on the fence about saying that it started with Phoebe using using her premonitions about with those men. Although I see why it could be considered personal gain, I
What are you
see why it
talking
was
about?
considered personal gain, but I don't think that it was to the extent to where I would have taken her powers away. But that's just me.
That.
Yeah.
I think it was more like because she was treating like I thought that was she was treating it like sort of like an addiction.
Mm,
Like
okay.
like she was abusing it to the point where she was using that potion to sort of like cheat her premonitions.
Yeah, that is
I
true.
felt
Uh,
like by that point, like I was exhausted with the storyline, with Phoebe's storyline. Honestly, I needed a break.
Thank you.
It was
Thank
that.
you.
That's when things started getting exhausting. I was like, okay, girl, like y'all
So
are
I
doing
here's
a
another
lot.
thing that always kind of got me a
She's a
little.
Gemini moon. She's a Gemini moon.
Here's the thing that always ended up kind of getting me about the show is that I feel like they just gave elements of one sister to the next as they move through ranks. So when Phoebe was the youngest sister, she's irresponsible, but she's learning to be responsible and she doesn't have a job. So she's just working through life. And then Paige comes in and she's this independent woman who don't need a man. And then by season 5, my girl is jobless. And she's kind of filling that role that Phoebe filled as Phoebe moved into sort of adjacent to the role that Piper filled, where she's this career woman who eventually wants a family, right? And they just kind of amped it up because Piper knew she was gonna have a baby. She wasn't like like Jones and for it. Like
But you
Piper
know what
wasn't
I
like, oh my
hated
god,
about
baby, 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 until the end, kind of the season 4 when it was supposed to be time for it to happen, and it wasn't happening. But then Phoebe just got like baby crazy, and it was like,
yeah. But you know what I hated about those specific storylines is because they dragged the Cole storyline so much. Like she was so obsessed with this man, and they were so passionate. And then with other guys, they were like, "All right, she loves him." Like the
But
fuck? That's it.
but I I think I have a little bit of an answer to that. And it's because we learned that the people that were in charge were all men.
mm-hmm. Hmm. And I
Like,
think that's why they had to end the series with a man. Like a Paige had to meet Henry, and because it was given like old Hollywood, like, yes, I'm at the top of my career and I don't need a man, but it would be nice to have one around, and I'm gonna come in the kitchen in my fur because I don't know what to do in the kitchen, but my husband wants a hot meal. Like very
yeah, like the so they were very clear about the fact that like men ran the show.
Yeah.
Even though this was a woman's story, like this was Connie. What's her last name? I forget her last name, but like,
Verge.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was based on her. It was based on her stories, like,
Hmm.
and they pushed her out.
Hmm.
She didn't want anything to do with it because men took over, and with adult like as an adult, I can see that like this is not realistic to women. Men wrote this.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah.
You know
Definitely.
what I mean?
Most
Um,
definitely.
yeah. Um,
Because Phoebe just, I'm not going to use the word randomly, but I think that's why I say it was kind of akin to Piper, but they amped it up. She sees a future where she has a baby, and then all of a sudden she's obsessed with having a baby. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. Towards the end, it was giving patriarchy, like full blown. Like it was given like, all right, like yeah, I know we gave strong and independent and feminism, but like let's everybody got to get a man now. Like you said, like let's
Exactly.
focus on what's really important because we need a
Right.
man. Like
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
the true tea. Like that's what it gave. By then I was exhausted though. I was like, yeah, girl, I'm gonna watch out because I love y'all, but like y'all are killing me with these storylines.
Hmm. Hmm.
I agree. I was I think it was Phoebe that exhausted me the most.
Hmm.
Or if anybody, I don't think that I got exhausted by Piper. Um,
Paige was exhausting me a little bit too, because towards the end she was just doing shit, doing stuff just to do stuff, like, like,
well, that the job thing was like
Yeah.
the job thing made my head spin.
yeah.
I
Like,
think they I think they did a lot with, and a lot in like a bad way, with her trying to reconcile her white lighter half with her witch half, and being like, we're gonna give you charges, and at a certain point she was just handling it, and she was just okay. Where like I liked it a little bit, but I'm like, I want to see my girl struggle. Like I need to see her like have trouble, and not just when the story calls for her sisters to come in, because not like the one that was calling her in Imaginary Friends, and she was speaking in the other language or whatever, and she's like, oh, that's my charge calling me. And then she orbs off, and I'm like, how are we getting around the fact that Paige is a white lighter that cannot heal? But then we saw them do it with Chris. Basically the elder said,
Baby Wyatt.
yeah,
No,
baby,
but
what?
what about? But do you remember in the one episode when Cole was laying there dying, and they were like, maybe we can use my half to offset his half? Remember when they liked when they helped him go?
And she was like,
Which did not make sense.
that was when she
And
like
that was like when she
was
was
sounding
15
kind of
minutes in.
like all the lights weren't on upstairs, and she was like, "Aren't I half white lighter?" And I was like, it was like the
No,
sentence was
I
Then,
liked
correct from the
that.
way she
I
said,
but then
liked
she was
that.
"Aren't
15.
I half white lighter?"
No, but I liked that. I liked Paige. I liked Paige's newness.
But she was 15 minutes into being a witch. How you got solutions, bitch? You don't know how to do this.
Because
You just got
no,
here.
no, no.
But that
I
shows how
think
crafty
yeah,
she was. That she was already thinking about things like that. Like,
yeah.
So why she can't heal now? All of a sudden, she knew how to offset. She knew how to offset his whole half a demon earlier in her first episode.
She also knew how to. She also knew how to substitute demon for dirtbag.
baby, my girl came in writing spell.
Yes, the aren't
Sis,
I always.
sis was trying to photocopy the book now. Sis said, I need. Sis said, I need a copy for the house.
It's the fact that my page Latanya Matthews took the Book of Shadows to Kinko's and was like, "Can I get 15 copies of page 7?" And I was like, and I know she was at work, but it just is funny to me to imagine like she had to come to work because she went to Kinko's first and was like, "Can I get some copies of this?" And they were like, "It's not working." And she's like, "Okay, whatever, I got it." And she takes it to the office and is like, "It's not working." And her friend's like, "Well, what are you trying to do? Make some copies of that big book, man?" And then
Also,
when they acted like, when she changed his face and she was like, "Oh my God." Huh. And I was like, baby, this is no tea, no shade. And I know that I'm not exactly a prize myself. I know I'm not a prize myself. And so I feel bad for saying this. He still was a little, you know. And
Then
so
she was
I
like,
was like,
I
Mama,
would still
can
hit
my
it.
no,
I'd
she was
still hit
like,
it.
and can my friend just still stay cute? And I was like,
and I was like, stay cute or get cute. Because he was giving me like, you can put all the Neutrogena on his face that you want. And it was not having the effect. Like the blonde friend was like, "Oh my God, you
like
know,
he turned
my
into
Carlone went through. Billy's face doesn't look like a troll anymore. He just looks like a gnome now." And then you with this, I'm telling you, there's something in the stars. And I'm like, Paige, maybe you do need to work somewhere else because your coworkers seem like they got a lot going on. I'm telling you, I get very caught up on voices and I get caught up on the way people say things, which is why, like, I know, and things that people do. I know that this is a joke because people tried to eat me up, and I actually made that video private because I didn't want people talking about me anymore. This was when I first was getting into the Charm fandom, and I didn't want people talking to me because I was very sensitive. The scene where Piper comes to talk to her, and the right before that, she's talking to Phoebe, and she's like,
With the
"It
muffins?
feels like mom
yeah, with
just
the muffins.
invites more cake." with the muffins. And she's like, it feels like love just invites more pain. And Phoebe's like, well, maybe we don't start with love. Maybe we would just start with thank you. And then she goes to see her, and she's like, and Piper's like, they're talking, and she's like, it just hurts or whatever she said. And she was like, well, I mean, your parents are dead. And then Paige is like, she didn't say that. She didn't say that. I'm just exaggerating. But no, the part I'm talking about is when her boss comes and like, who is this? And Paige is kind of looking like, okay, what you want me to say? And then Piper's like, I'm her sister. And then she grabs her stomach and she like runs because I've never understood why Holly grabbed her
Yeah.
stomach. Like, I don't know why I don't know if that, because at one point in the show she was having like a miscarriage on set. And so
Oh,
In real
yes,
life?
like she said that,
In real
yes,
life?
in real life.
Oh,
She said in
wow.
season 4 she was going through that like on the set. So I always feel very conflicted laughing at that because I think it was like later in the season. I don't think it was at that point, but because I always just wonder, like, she grabs her stomach and she's like, I'm her sister. And then she grabs her stomach and she runs off, and she had that like sweater on and it was really long. So when she
Long,
runs off,
yeah.
it looks like Voldemort's cape. And I was like, it really seemed like as she was running off, somebody was going to be standing behind her going, double, double, toil and trouble. Like it was giving that. But anyway, he killed my parents, didn't he? Rude nut.
yes, I agree with all of that, but also every time I see that scene, I'm like, I sob. I'm a sap. So like Holly's grief scene or Holly's grief episodes are I live for. Like, I don't have like one favorite, but it just like there is like that one opening where she's putting on Prue's jacket and all that
Oh, yeah.
that like I yeah,
Why are
like
you
I knew that
laughing?
there would be. What's that? What's that?
Why
No,
you
she
start
was asking me
laughing?
why I laughed, and I don't know when you said
Oh.
that like she's putting on Prue's jacket. I don't know why I laughed. Why I laughed because it made me think about when Prue, you know, unalived Miss Hellfire, and then went in her closet and was like, ooh, 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 she's got fur and
No,
diamonds, and I was like, Prue,
but Miss
you just
Hellfire's
put this
clothes
woman in
was
the mood.
Tito. Miss Hellfire's clothes were Tito.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like, they were like, look, she's got diamonds and Dollar Tree wigs. And I'm like, why are we talking about this woman's wigs?
No, but the episode I always cry. It doesn't matter how many times I see it. Is after they vanquished Cole and they're all laying on the bed. They're like, we should go up and see her now. And then they go up there and they're all
And,
crying.
and then Leo, okay. So, when Piper's like, if it was you, and Leo pulls Piper, and Holly is a very petite woman, and so he pulls her in for a hug, and she's kind of like, oh, and then she like lands on him, and he's like holding her, and she was like, oh my god, I didn't know we were supposed to be doing that. That wasn't in the rehearsal, and then Paige comes along and is like, she's gonna be alone a lot. She's probably gonna die a spinster. We should go up there with her. And Piper's just like, okay.
Yeah.
But you know what I like about that scene though is I feel like Piper went back to middle sister Piper who didn't know what to say, and Prue would come along and be like, "This is what we need to do," and am I saying that that's fully what happened? No, but I feel like it was. I think it was a really good touch to have her have moments where she would revert to that because I
Yeah.
don't think that it's just a normal natural thing for your entire personality to change and you just stay that way. Like everyone's gonna slip. And it was nice to see those scenes where she would, even when Grams came and she was like, I want Grams now, and then like she uses Wyatt's magic to bring her,
Oh,
bring her
you
there.
know, you know what other scene
And
I cry on? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, what other scene I cry on is like when like Paige's parents come back. Paige's parents, they brought Paige's parents back. Why are you laughing? Why are
Go
you
ahead.
laughing? No, no, no. Actually, no. Not even that scene. The scene where when she meets her mom for the first time, and she's just sitting there like, "Mom."
That's what I thought. No, that one makes me laugh. When she sees her parents, her real ones, and they're like, Paige. That does. I agree. I just got chills now because like
And
like Paige, season 4 Paige, I was like in love with. Like I just felt like, oh, like she's just
Yeah.
doing her best.
She was precious. And like her mom, for some reason, the actress like had her neck back and she was like, we're so proud of you, honey, and everything that you've accomplished. And I was like, ma'am,
We've been
pull
here
your
with you
neck
every
forward.
step of she was like, we've been here with you every step of the way, honey.
Every
Like,
step of the way. And like I laugh so hard when Patty comes to meet her because again, when
why?
they're like because Piper very reluctantly is like, we want to show you something. And then Paige is like, what? And Phoebe's like, what good magic can do. And then they summon Patty, and Patty's like, Paige. And then, Finola, for some reason, like she looks so tall and her hands look so meaty. And she's like holding Now, we saw two different versions of that one night on live. Because there's one version where they clearly had where her mouth did not move, but they had her say mom, but her mouth didn't move. Then we watched another version where her mouth moved and she actually said mom. So I don't know what the point of that was, but we saw two different ones. And then Patty like pushes Paige back. She's like, and then she's like, welcome home. And then she pulls her in again. And like the whole time Paige is like, and I'm like, what are we doing? It was
I actually cry on that episode too, and I cry on the episode where they're like, no, the same episode where all of them are hugging after Phoebe was like sentenced to spinsterhood, like that episode. But like when Cole is in the thing, when Cole was like in the middle of the diamonds, and he was like, I'll always love you. I always be like,
no, listen, let me tell you something. When Alyssa was acting down because she was like, I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. And she had that ugly bang and that sweat had made it drip in front of her eye. And she was like, I'm sorry, baby.
She just threw up.
I'm so sorry.
She just threw
And
up.
Piper
Yeah,
just
just
immediately
threw up.
goes into the spell and she's like, she kind of looks over like, okay, girl, anyway, Prudence, Penelope, Patricia, Melinda. And then Paige kind of looks at Phoebe like, okay, what we finna do? And then Phoebe says it very
Astrid,
bluntly.
Helen, Laura, Grace.
Astrid, Helen, Laura, and Grace. And then for some reason, Rose McGowan in season 4 did this thing where she would scream. So it's like Prudence, Penelope, Patricia, Melinda, Astrid, Helena, Laura, and Grace. Halloween witches stand strong beside us. And then like Alyssa says says a spell like one of my favorite ways, vanquish this evil. And then and then they're like from time and space. And then she moves again. It is so fun because Paige does the same thing when they're saying the spell to summon their powers from the source. Because Piper and Phoebe are like, powers of the witches rise, coursing seen across the skies. And then you have Paige there. Powers of the witches rise, coursing seen across the skies. Come down to and I'm like, stop, settle here, because this is where we are, and here's where you are. Settle here. Like, man.
I knew I was toxic when that episode that we just talked about, when instead of me thinking about the fact that they were going to vanquish Cole and like trying to break it down, I was like, this is the Seer's fault, because why didn't you watch her take the tonic? Because if she was just taking that pure evil, she would have never done it.
And then the seer
ran her. Toxic.
The seer read her down when she was like, this morning you were powerful and whatever she said, and now look at you, whiny and stupid. I don't know what word she used, so I'm just throwing stupid in there. And I was like, whiny and indecisive or something like that. And I was like, Concretia, do you have to read this woman like that? I named her Concretia in my mind because there's a scene from the Flintstones where at the end, they mix the dirt and the water together or whatever, and it lands on the villain of the movie. And then Mr. What is the boss's name? I can't remember the boss's name. He was like, oh, this wonderful concoction. I'm going to name it after my daughter, Concretia. And I always think about her for some reason in that moment. And I have no reason.
That's a good name.
Concretia is a good name for her because I always think of her when she was Sanaa Lathan's mom in Love and Basketball, and the Allstate dude was cheating on her, and she was like, "And why don't you just stay your ass home?" And that's when I realized the seer was a little ratchet. Did y'all see that?
I kind of remember that. I kind
Love
of
and
remember that.
Basketball is such a
She was
toxic movie to me,
she
and I
was the
refuse to
violation.
watch it.
No, she was Quincy's mom, and Quincy's mom was
Oh
getting
yeah, because
cheated
he
on
got mad at her. He got mad at her for being upset and was like, "That's just what men do," or whatever stupid mess
yeah,
he said.
and she was married to the Allstate dude, and he was cheating on her
Stop
for
calling that man the Allstate man. Please stop
Um,
calling that man the Allstate dude. Please.
there's another
That man
there's
has a
another
name, but I don't know it. So
there's another time that I cry every single time, and I really don't know why.
What time.
It's it's the Ludlow episode where Piper blows up the gate.
Oh yes, I do cry. You cry at that part though.
I do. I don't
Okay,
know why.
okay, friend.
I think it,
Okay,
no, you know what
friend.
it is? It's what honestly, like, and I didn't know about I didn't realize this about me until after October 7th of this year. But when I hear kids in distress, it fucks me up.
Oh,
And so like you hear the kid go, "No, stop it," blah blah blah. And then Piper's like and I'm like
now she farted. You know, I. You know, let
I
me
know
say
what.
this.
Mhm.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm
No,
done.
no, go,
I was
go.
just gonna say I don't know if y'all knew this, but I used to work for CPS and I worked there for many years. And I did the intake part of it where we would like the people would call in, give us reports and things like that. And so I became so emotionally numb to hearing about horrible things happening to children that I
Yeah,
almost had to like find the humor in it. And
Yeah.
just like literally to survive. And so now when I watch stuff like that, it's like there's always something funny about it to me. When he's standing there and then Ludlow
Yeah.
uses his power to freeze him. He's like, and then he turns into Neville Longbottom. And I'm like it is hilarious and it should not
no,
be. It
the reason
shouldn't be.
I laugh. No, I'm not gonna lie. No shame, Mike. But I wasn't expecting that because there are moments in that episode that I probably should laugh at. I think are funny when he was like, when they're like, when Phoebe was not Phoebe, when Piper was trying to secretly freeze him, and he was like, "What's wrong with you? You
Yeah,
think
yeah,
We
yeah.
don't
you're
like
you're about to?"
surprises. And then my favorite part of that scene is when he's
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing? Your bounty's up." Because at first I thought he was saying, "What are you doing?" To be
Did he
like,
know?
"Why
Did
are you
he
trying to freeze
know?
me?"
Did he know?
I wasn't clear. I don't think that he knew she was trying to freeze him, but
Uh-huh.
I think he knew she was trying to use some sort of magic and like stall being there because he
Well,
was like, "Your bounty's outside." And I wanted
Ludlow
to know
was
what the
funny
bounty
though.
was. I would assume powers, but
Yeah, Ludlow was funny though because he was like, "Aren't you, boy? Aren't you, boy?"
Yeah. I just also realized another one that gets me I is when powerless Leo, when he's human, and baby and toddler Wyatt, they're at magic school and the source comes. Like I get like that freaks me out. Like when Wyatt's trying to or when Leo's trying to hide Wyatt behind him. There's also a funny part where I'm like, what if he farts? Like
yeah.
I don't know,
And
but
like Wyatt, that's why Wyatt really turned evil because he's got a mouthful of fart.
yeah, yeah, daddy
That's his
farts.
villain origin story.
That's his
But
villain
but
origin story.
yeah, yeah. But like no, I do like there's something about that scene that like really like gets me. I don't really cry at that, but like it just like it elevates me. Like I yeah. So
Somebody said giving Wyatt pink eye. The there's like three scenes that I really cry at, and I don't count the final scene of the series because I feel like everybody cries at that because there's something about when old Piper gets up, like her back hurts, and she's like, "You can look at it for a while. I mean, it will be yours one day." And I'm
probably
like, okay,
tomorrow.
and then and then like her elderly concubine walk up the stairs and the music starts and you see all the pictures and it's like Piper looks so proud and so happy. I'm crying. I'm getting teary eyed thinking about it. Like that's how much I love that scene. But then there's another scene and it's a very brief moment and I don't get like super. I don't cry, but I get very emotional with it when when Prue is in the truck and the nothing is trying to, take her, and she's like, "Daddy," and Victor is helping her, and he's like, "I got you." That scene makes me emotional. It makes me very emotional. And then the scene that always will make me cry, even when I'm trying not to, is when Chris is a spider demon and he's beating up Leo, and then Piper takes the potion and it turns him back into a human, and then he just keeps hitting him. That is so sad to me. That moment, and it's not even just when he's like on the bridge.
It's just how you described it. Not funny.
How was that?
He just keeps hitting him.
Oh,
Because that's what he did. He just kept hitting him. I'm from the South, child, so I be saying words.
doesn't he like close up? Doesn't he like take Piper out or something, and then close up so that Piper can't get to him? He's like shuts and locks the door so that he's stuck with Leo, and you're like, oh fuck that.
Yes. And then he's gonna F him up and he's throwing him around. And Leo, being the jerk that he is, I guess so he can get down, is like, what? Did I like Wyatt? Did I like Wyatt more than you? And then Chris like throws him across the thing, and I was like, good.
No, you know what? You know what other scene makes me a little emotional? When Piper finds out she's pregnant and she's doing the album, and then Patty writes "mommy" and "grandma." I'd be like,
Jesus.
Maybe,
you know what? Maybe that was cute. That was just me. Okay.
No. Maybe I think I'm learning from you guys that maybe I don't like Patty.
Patty, here's the thing. I have gotten blocked on Twitter before because of things I have said about Patty. Because my thing is like, Patty is cute, Patty is sweet, but Patty is useless as a bitch. Like, what has Patty ever done besides let children slither out of her cooter that was significant in the magical world?
She never needed it. She had Penny. She never needed to be a good witch. She had Penny.
That's it. It was given very Avatar Karuk coming after Avatar Yang Chen, and she didn't have to actually do anything because the Avatar before her had, cut up. Like,
what Patty did do? Patty don't have to do nothing because Patty made the most powerful witches of all time.
That.
And baby. No,
and that's just that on that. Like,
but also her power was so specific. Her power was so specific that like it would have. I feel like for Patty to be a singular demon fighter with that power, but Penny had a better power to fight demons with. But Patty, I feel the same way about Piper when she could just freeze things. Like her power was more protective than actual vanquishing, right? Like you're not gonna freeze a demon to death, right? Like so you've got to do other things. Like you've got to, and I don't know if was Patty powerful enough on her own to say spells that would vanquish demons?
Clearly not, because she didn't vanquish Nicholas.
That's right. She had to sort of do other things that weren't to vanquish him. So what was she good for other than making the charmed ones? In her own time, what was she good
let's be clear, she wasn't really good for anything else. But she did do that one. She did eat that one little thing, though. She ate that. You gotta give it to her.
I really wish that they had a dynamic. I wish that they had a dynamic between them where because I think the power to freeze really works well in tandem with another power. I think you have to have another power, an active-ish power, for it to really be effective. Whether it be in you or another witch. But I really wish that they had said that Patty was really gifted in potions or in writing spells, but I think Graham's kind of had the writing spells and unfortunately the potions part down. But I think it would have been really impactful if Patty had been good at making potions, because then you can kind of work in that's how Piper feels closer to Patty, and that's why she worked so hard at being able to do potions. Because I feel like, and I think I'm in a minority with this, I'm not saying that Piper wasn't good at making potions. I am saying that Piper became the potions master kind of all of a sudden. Like Piper just was not making potions, and then one day it was like, oh, Piper knows how to make potions, and we always go to her for our
That
potions.
part.
They tried to tie it in, like, oh, she knew how to cook well. Because do you
Well,
remember when they went back in time or whatever? She was like, how do you know what to put in it? So when Graham
And
said that
Graham
to
was like, when she was like, okay, so you put the mustard seed and that'll
yeah,
do something
they
with the
tried
whatever.
to tie
And
it
Grams
into
was
like
like,
she can
how do
cook
you know
well.
what to put? I
Exactly.
promise
They
you, I
try they
laugh
try
at
to
that scene
gaslight
every
us.
time.
They try to gaslight us into believing that all Piper knew how to do it all along.
also,
And here's the thing is, they didn't have to do it. Like it would have made sense from the jump if Piper wasn't invested in magic, but she wanted to learn how to make potions. Like it was right there, and they could have done it. Like because she can't be a cook at the at Quake, she's the manager. It would have made sense that she would want to do potions because that's letting her hone her cooking ability. And I think that they did that so that when season 4 came, and they kind of knew obviously that they were probably gonna bring somebody else in. I think when season 4 started, it's like, okay, Phoebe is our spell writer. Piper is our potions master. So what's Paige gonna do? Find out next week on Dragon Ball Charmed. And it's like, like
right.
everyone had to have a niche, I feel like, so that Paige could be the oddball out. But that's me.
Also,
Oh,
oh, go ahead. No, go
sorry.
ahead. Go
But
ahead.
y'all did point out something to me that I never realized. Patty really was useless because even in the afterlife, she was never even turned into pages. She never helped with anything.
She couldn't.
It was always
Patty came back. Patty
even in
came
the
back
after.
when Piper and I. We talk about this scene all the time. Patty came back. Piper is in the water, drowning. Her and
With
her
her big ass
baby are
hands.
being filled with water, and Patty's like, Piper, Piper. I'm back to meet you, Piper. How have you been doing? I'm going to go to Costco later. Would you like for me to buy you a slice of pizza or maybe a nice, refreshing Fanta? And it's like, your daughter is drowning. Save her. Just,
She
I
had
don't know.
big hands for that. Why did they have to be that big?
Her hands were meaty. And the thing is like,
They were huge. They weren't her real hands.
they could have been. It was a
No, they
prosthetic.
weren't.
Like, it,
You
it
know,
was
I
like,
never noticed what you guys are talking about. I gotta go back and watch. I never noticed she had meaty hands.
Wait, time out, time out, time out. We have to. People in the chat, uh, t like chime in on this. When Piper was in the water and Patty saved her, you guys didn't notice that those hands were like the hands of an 8-foot giant.
I didn't.
hands were huge. Her hands were huge.
I
It,
Those
didn't
I'm telling
hands.
notice. Is that
you,
so?
it's
Is
the
that the
same.
first episode that? Is that the episode that y'all noticed that in, or is it in every episode she's in?
No,
No,
they enhanced it like
they
CGI, I
made it
think, or
bigger.
whatever.
But I said earlier, like in Charmed Again, when she hugs Paige, like she had those
They
big
didn't.
meaty claws, like Mr. Krabs. Like she genuinely was like it was like Patty wanted to
Why
hug her,
would
and
they
her
do
hands were
that?
like, I
Okay.
want to
Am
hug
I
her too.
am I Mandela affecting right now? Like people in the chat are saying I didn't notice.
I
How
never
did you
noticed
not
that
know
either.
those huge hands from a 9-foot giant like
Yeah, yeah.
wraps their hands around Piper's arm to pull to and then by the way, let's just say, like call a spade or whatever. But like all of a sudden her foot just falls
Yes,
out like
I
It
just
just
didn't
slips out.
understand that.
falls out.
I didn't
But
get it.
It
but
just
no, guys, really, nobody noticed that those like I think what they were trying to portray was that she was a spirit, so she was bigger, like she was just like an
yeah,
all-encompassing. But what it looked like were two big glowing man hands
yeah.
pulling her like
I
pulling a
have
2 year
never
old.
in my life noticed this. That's and you. I've watched
Yeah.
these episodes probably. I don't even know how many times. I couldn't
Because
tell
How?
it's like
you. I never noticed.
when she's coming up in the flames to come talk to Piper, like she's get it because she's in hell, and so
She's an apple.
she's like this huge figure, and it's like you can tell that they're trying to tell us that she's like this huge like
She's
being
like
your presence,
she's
and
like
it's like yeah, her hands
Piper.
are digitally enhanced, and she's like
She's like
Piper, Piper.
Piper. Piper.
But why
knew
were
you.
the
I
hands?
knew you.
Why were the hands big? Like,
Because
what's
I
the
think that
reason?
I think she was just supposed to be a big spirit,
Yes.
but
Like
like
I think
but
that was supposed to be like she's coming down from heaven, quote unquote,
So when she came
to
back,
come save her child.
but when she came back, like in human form, were her hands big too?
I mean,
Like when she came back,
Her
relatively
hands
when she
were
big,
came back,
not
that
like
big,
that big.
what
like
was
it was
did she have big
digitally
hands too?
enhanced. But then
What's
too, I
that?
think it was supposed to be Piper had like a hallucination of her because it was kind of like we didn't see her, you
Oh, because
did. So I
Phoebe
think
saved.
it
It
was
was Phoebe. It was Phoebe
yeah,
that saved her.
it was Phoebe that saved her. So I think it
Oh
was supposed to
yeah.
be like a hallucination, probably because she was underwater for 15 minutes and she was losing oxygen to her brain. But you know, I think that was supposed to be the effect we were getting.
Oh my
It's kind of like
God.
when Prue was drowning and she came down, and whoever that actress is had, I don't think she had an accent, but she was like, Prue, Prue.
Oh my God. I just realized something. Piper fucking drowned, and Wyatt saved her from the womb. Like Piper would be brain dead.
Yeah, 'cause that's how he.
Like Piper,
That's how we learned. Wyatt was self healing.
Well, that was when she came. Well, we found out because he healed her wound in the belly, but like Piper's brain, like she was underwater way too
yeah,
long.
should have been Gonzo. And I always laugh at that scene because they're like, how did you do that? And Leo's like, I didn't do it. I'm not good for anything. I should get hit with the Dark Lighter arrow. And I agreed with it, but they didn't do it. So I can't.
Um,
Well, y'all,
yeah.
I was
it's
just about
11
to hit
o'clock.
y'all. I was just about to hit y'all with the well, y'all. So
Yeah.
you beat me
I
to it.
didn't pull out the blanket tonight because it's a little too early for the blanket. But I just want to thank y'all for
Gotta
coming
go.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a blast.
Yes.
It was a lot of
Thank you
fun.
very much.
Thank you guys for
Yes.
It
Thank
was
for
you.
having me, Aylin.
thank you again, Jennifer. I
No
appreciate it. I'm gonna
problem.
make you proud. I'm gonna make
I'm following you, Jennifer. Sorry about that.
I'm
I
gonna
didn't mean
I'm
to.
gonna follow you
There you
back.
go. Perfect. I love talking about this stuff.
So fun.
hmm
So fun.
This is the first time I've ever watched the show, so it's so fun to talk about it with
Exactly.
Right.
people who
Yeah,
know what's
yeah.
going on. I've only
All right.
watched 10 minutes of the show,
Right,
so
exactly.
it's
I just started watching it this morning, so it's like
Yep.
fresh, you know.
I
What's
watched a
what's
little bit of it before this started, so that way
what's
I would know.
Charmed? Charmed?
Well,
Charmed?
I thought See Harmed when I first saw the clip of it. I thought that it was a Charlie's Angels continuation. And so it was
I
like,
can't.
for
I can't.
me, I was like, oh, Chris Monroe had 3 daughters. I can't do this. Y'all, if y'all want to join the Discord and the Patreon or whatever you want to do, if you want to just follow me, then do it. It was nice having everybody here
Yes.
tonight.
Good night, guys.
Thank you so
And
much. Good night, guys.
Night, y'all.